Hello, hi, namaste, bonjour, привет, konnichiwa, marhaba, merhaba, salut. A warm welcome to every one of you to this wonderful book live event 2022. Yes, we're streaming live out of Altana headquarters here in Germany to almost 100 nations. What a high and wonderful number. Thanks to all of you for tuning in today. I can't wait to start the day off, and we promise to inspire you today. What is inspiration? Well, by definition, it says it's the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, and especially to do something creative. It's a sudden, brilliant, or timely idea. What can evolve from such a moment? Well, you may know it quite a lot, right? All of this, all of what I'm standing on, all of this that stands for, has its origin in something that a guy called Dr. Heinrich Bück had 140 years ago. A moment of inspiration, almost 1.5 centuries. In 1873, he began producing industrial and commercial chemicals for the first time. And what followed down that path was quite extraordinary as well. Bück is now a globally acting company that affects the daily life of almost, if not everyone. A moment of inspiration can change everything, and hopefully today it does as well. Let's have some inspiration together and let's get inspired by Bück, which is a great invitation, right? And a great promise. Will we hold that promise? My name is Mark Dumitru, and I will take you by the hand today and lead the way through this wonderful event. And I'm doing my very best that by the end of this day, you will answer this question with a clear yes. Thanks to your feedback from last year, we got to know that this event in 2021 was a great success. So here we are back again, still not in our regular mode with meeting up in person and giving you the possibility of a hands-on experience of the products, but we will come back there. People around here, they're still remembering all those great moments in the after-work get-togethers that you guys had together, and we will come back there. So we're still in a situation that requires smart and quick handling, and that's something that Bück is really, really good at, being innovative and reacting quickly on market and environmental conditions that change quite a lot. And what they're also pretty good at is being a problem solver for everyday problems. And today we're solving your problems, and we will provide you with innovative solutions with inspiring ideas and new perspectives. How are we going to do that? Let's take a quick glance on the agenda to see what's going to happen today. We will get inspired by regulatory-driven solutions right after an opening interview with CEO of Bück, Tamo Bojnovic. And after that, we will have a Q&A session, a discussion with the people standing here on stage after their presentation. After a break, we move on to water-based innovations, and we're going to see a little message in a bottle, something that I don't really know what it's all about, but we're all going to be surprised by it. And after another break, we're going to have something about beyond liquids. And closing everything today will be an interview with Global Head BL Paint Additives, Stefan Mössmer. And now, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to someone who is called Bück Division President. He is Dr. Tamo Bojnovic. Welcome on stage. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Hello, Mark.
It's great to be back at the live event,
great
right?
to see you again.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here for me, too. When we met the last time in 2021 at this live event, the biggest challenge that we were all faced with seemed to be COVID, right? 2022 seems to top it off, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I'm now 1.5 years with Bück as divisional president, but it feels so much longer. And if we consider the very dynamic situation, extreme situation, I would say these years count double. No? So, as you know, we have seen a strong customer demand, a strong recovery after COVID, which has still continuing. What we also have seen is extreme pressure on supply chains. Then the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine even brought it to a more extreme situation. And we have seen a lot of inflation related to raw materials, but also other factors. In a positive way, also in such an extreme and challenging situation, you learn about the excellence of your team and the excellence of the organization. And I'm very proud and also thankful what the BYK team has accomplished together.
Well, quite understandably, these challenges get a high attention at the moment. However, formally, heatedly discussed topics such as climate change somewhat move to the background. How does BYK deal with this?
Yeah, that unfortunately there seems to be always something more important than climate protection, but not for us. For BYK, sustainability, climate protection is always on top of the agenda. And I would like to confirm that we are on track with our very ambitious sustainability target. You know that Altana overall would like to be climate neutral in 2025. That is challenging, but we are on track. But we go even beyond this. We look not only to scope 1 and 2, but now also to scope 3. That means we will look down to our raw materials, which bring about 70% of our CO2 footprint, and look also upstream to your applications, because our additives help you to make our world more sustainable.
BYK is known as an innovative company, and despite of big global challenges, you never lose focus on innovation. It's a quote. You guys say, "Stand still is not an option." How does BYK manage to do justice to this?
Yeah, innovation is our lifeblood. Blood. You know it. We learned it last year. And overall, we are committed to innovation. We have overall hired in this extreme year about 150 people more, and several of these also related to innovation. So I think it goes without saying that we invest into application technology, that we invest into synthesis capabilities, new technologies. But what is new, and that is really a new level, is now the connection of results with data. Yeah? So we look overall into our we look overall into connecting information, for example, from the high throughput screening facility, which we have highlighted last year, together with lab data, for example, application technology. I expect a completely new insights from this new level of innovation.
Well, this event also is an innovative response to a challenge everybody has been and is still faced with, which is COVID. It has to change. It has changed the way we work, the way we communicate, the way we live, actually. And speaking about your corporate culture, how did your colleagues and employees deal with this?
Yeah, I mean, COVID overall was, let's say, a challenging time for us. I think we are all now also a little bit tired about all the team conferences. But on the other hand, what we have really learned, and we benefited from our flat hierarchies, we benefited also from the empowerment of the individual, because in such a dynamic situation, everybody has to make decisions timely, basically every day, every hour, every minute. And this one can be done also by only by an empowered person doing the right thing. And that is what we have done.
Definitely. Well, many roads lead to Rome and also to this BYK Live event. So here we are now in 2022 and taking a glimpse at what's ahead of us today. What may the viewers out there be looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm very excited about the agenda. I know that all the people you will see on stage put a lot of effort, but also creativity in their talks, in preparing the inspiration for you. We will speak about regulatory. I personally see regulatory really as an opportunity, yeah? Less than a challenge. I see regulatory as an enabler for innovation. And we anticipate the trends, the waves, and then ride it out together with you and offer opportunities. The second part is a continuation of the water-based transformation. That is technically demanding, but we have new things to offer, especially in wetting and dispersing, but also in defoamers. I think you can expect really solutions which reach the next level. Yeah, then you mentioned message in a bottle, so far more connected to a song from Police. So I'm also very excited what is behind this. Yeah, and then at the end, we will let's say, also leave a little bit our home turf, which is more liquid products, and will offer solid solutions, which you require in some of the applications. I heard just that we have about 700 people at the moment on the show. I'm very impressed about this figure, and I would like to thank you that you spend the time together with us, get inspired. If you would like to have more inspiration, of course, use the online chat, but also use the opportunity to get connected with our experts and have a one-to-one session and go more into details about, let's say, the challenge you have, but also the opportunity we can create together.
So let's all look forward to a wonderful event today. Thank you very much, Tamo Bojnovic.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I can just underline the words that he just said. If you would like to have some expert talks that are taking place tomorrow, there is quite an intuitive way to book a slot. Just go down on the website. Beneath this live stream, there's a possibility to book one of the slots. And other than that, if you have any questions, use the Q&A function that is also beneath this chat. Just type your questions in, flood it. We have a team in a back office that we locked in. They have nothing but a window and a laptop, and they're there for you. They focus on your questions. And some of the questions will be randomly chosen and taken up on this stage and will be asked right to the presenters after their presentation. And if you have any more questions, please do not hesitate to contact Book anytime, any way you like. They're there for you, and they can't wait to get in touch. And now it is time to kick off with our first lecture. So last year we did a lot of work on regulations, and surprise, this year we're going to do so too. And in the next couple of years we will have to go on doing so, because regulations change constantly and we need to be ready to respond to it quickly. And Book is pretty ready. How ready they are will be presented to you by Brigitte Weber, Head of Global End-Use Special Coatings, Philipp Terite, End-Use Specialist Coil Coatings, and Julia Zülke, End-Use Specialist Decorative Coatings. They will now give you some great insights on how to be ready for changing regulations and what products they came up with. The next lecture is called Anticipate Complex Changes and Act Quickly with the Insights Shared on Alternatives to PTFE wax additives, polysiloxanes with extended food contact compliance, and associative thickeners. Enjoy the presentation and welcome on stage, Brigitte.
Thank you very much, Mark, for the nice introduction. We love regulations. The paint world is driven by the need to develop formulations that are safe to use for the industrial coater, the painter, or the consumer. Formulations which do not contain harmful or hazardous ingredients and which are also safe for the environment. The majority of new trends is generated by new regulations, either made by industry standards, certain brand owners, or coming from authorities. I will give you now a few samples. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet. At its heart are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the so-called SDGs, which are an urgent call for action by all countries in a global partnership. Based on the UN sustainability targets, the European Green Deal was developed. Climate change and environmental degradation are an existential threat to Europe and the world. To overcome these challenges, the European Green Deal will transform the EU into a modern, resource-efficient and competitive economy. The European Commission adopted its chemical strategy for sustainability, the so-called CSS, in 2020. The strategy is part of the EU zero pollution ambition, a key commitment of the European Green Deal, and aims to better protect citizens and the environment from harmful chemicals and boost innovation by promoting the use of safer and more sustainable raw materials. Based on the CSS, the EU Commission decides on new laws. And the ECHA, which is executing basically the decisions of the EU, the European Chemical Agency, has an integrated regulatory strategy. They register chemicals, they assess them, and then they decide if there's any action necessary. If there is an action necessary, it could result in a restriction of a raw material, a harmonized classification, or the identification of a substance of very high concern, a SVHC. On top of all that, we have the Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants, which is a global treaty to protect human health and the environments from chemicals that remain intact in the environment for long periods of time, become widely distributed geographically, and accumulate in the fatty tissue of humans and wildlife, and some of them are really harmful for human health or the environment. Depending on the marketing region outside Europe, other national requirements may apply. For example, the EPA, the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Most countries have similar national authorities and the legal frameworks. Brand owners or specific industry applications have their own rules on top of their legal obligation mentioned above. Their target is often to be on the safer side and control and exclude the use of critical raw materials. They are usually real innovation frontrunners. It is seen as a marketing advantage to be stricter on critical components than required by the law. Examples are specific, for example, specific food contact regulations for packaging coatings, regulations for decorative coatings like the Blue Angel, and many more. BYK would like to be ahead of these changes and proactively develop solutions and support you, our customers. We love regulations. And regulations inspire and drive innovation. New regulations drive the need of paint formulators to optimize formulations by exchanging harmful raw materials or even thinking outside the box and developing completely new solutions. They can affect certain raw materials in paint formulations so that it is necessary to remove or substitute them, but they can also create the need to develop completely new paint systems. For example, remove solvents, reduce VOCs by changing from solvent-borne to water-based systems, or become completely solvent-free using powder coatings or solvent-free red cure system. The group of PFAS, the per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, are an actual example. The PFAS restriction process in the EU was initiated a few months ago, so we don't have a result yet. At the same time, the EU Commission and ECHA stating that its kind of chemistry has no future in the EU. In case of PFAS, reformulation is not possible. It is necessary to find substitutions for these substances. The need for substitution is leading to the most challenging and also to the most inspiring projects, because we develop a new way to achieve typical paint properties like defoaming, substrate wetting, or abrasion resistance. That allows us to open the R&D toolbox, think out of the box, and do real innovation and come up with new solutions. The last year, several regulatory-based projects came up and BYK introduced solutions for that. We had APO-free products. That means additives without alkyl phenol ethoxylate. These substances are listed in the European Commission as aquatoxic, bioaccumulating, and very difficult to degrade, and they are restricted in use since January 2021. Affected was, for example, Bucotol WS, which we changed into Bucotol AQ. Then we have the topic biocide-free. The reclassification and relabeling of the biocide methyl isothiazolinone, you probably know it better as MIT, was done in 2020, and it became a skin sensitizing label when the content is higher than 15 ppm. This didn't only lead to the change of the biocide package in all affected products, it also led to the development of completely biocide-free products. As an example, I can say here the introduction of DISPO BYK 2015 BF. BF stands for biocide-free. and it's a version of DISPO 2015, but both products remain, so you have the choice. Then we have tin-free products, different industry standards like the IKEA industry specification, several toy regulations, regulations for electronic device do not allow or restrict the use of organotin compounds in a formulation. So that's why BYK developed tin-free alternatives to affected wetting and dispersing additives. For example, DISPO 2150 is also available in a tin-free version, which is called DISPO 2150 TF. So you have a choice what you like to buy. And then the topic of the I have to say, the never-ending topic of the low cyclic siloxanes. Since 2018, silicone-based products with a content of D4, D5, and D6, cyclic siloxane compounds equal or higher than 0.1% each have to be labeled as substance of very high concern. And on top of that, the D4 has been reclassified as aquatoxic effective January this year. So, and we know already that there are further additional regulations on the D4 appearing on the horizon. So, but in this case, we were well prepared and we have purified, cleaned the affected polysiloxane so that the critical label could be avoided. Keeping pace with the latest regulatory updates and development across the globe is key to provide strategic regulatory advice and hands-on support throughout the product development process. So unfortunately, I have to say, unfortunately, we will never run out of new regulations. Regulatory affair is a hot topic. And we are at a turning point. With the EU Green Deal, we are heading towards climate neutrality for Europe by 2050. One of the pillars of the EU Green Deal is the chemical strategy for sustainability, setting out the transformation towards a toxic-free environment. The strategy sets a tight deadline to adopt many important changes to the way chemicals are managed across the EU in the next few years. I think that's a big challenge. We all need to realize that this challenge means enormous change. I believe we can only manage this transformation together with you, and create value in the collaboration with new innovative solutions. For our experts, regulations are inspiration. New product development is a creative process. If you're a paint formulator, you know what I mean when I say that paint formulation has a lot to do with experience and this kind of fingertip feeling, the knowledge, that you know how to solve a problem, how to impact paint properties by using different raw materials like resins, solvents, or additives, of course. In the technical service of BYK, we know how to test paint, and our R&D team knows how to twist additive formulations to achieve the desired results and the properties needed. The task to solve a problem, to find a solution for an obvious, unsolvable challenge, is inspiring for our teams. It motivates people not to give up and search and test to find solutions. And if you, our customers, can repeat the solutions BYK provided when our additive can solve your problems and provide the properties you need, we can't do more. Let me explain one of our latest regulatory-driven projects. Here we talk about the introduction of a series of new free of PTFE wax additives, which provide very similar properties compared to typical used PE-PTFE wax. Now, what is it about PTFE? Let's have a look at the regulatory background first. Polytetrafluoroethylene, or maybe you know it as Teflon, is a well-known representative of the polyfluoroalkyl substances, the PFAS. PFAS are more and more under regulatory pressure. Like I explained earlier, they are extremely persistent, bioaccumulative. That means they do not degrade in nature. They stay and accumulate in the environment, in soil, in water, in human bodies, in animals. And some PFAS are toxic and may cause cancer. So that's why they are really under suspicion. So where can you find these kind of PFAS? Typically, you can find them in rain clothes, you can find them in non-stick cookware, for example. You find them in firefighting foams, but you also find them, for example, in paints used for good substrate wetting as a defoamer, or like PTFE, a product which provides nice properties to your coating system. Studies have shown that drinking water and rainwater is contaminated by PFAS. That was too fast. I go back. It's linked to high cholesterol levels in the blood. It can damage the liver and weaken the immune system. So not a good stuff. So, but PFAS is a global topic. It's not only related to the EU. The USA authorities would like to get an overview on the use of PFAS. Therefore, they started to have reporting on PFAS, and they track the use of PFAS, import, the products, and the distribution channels. The European authorities are going a little step further. ECHA has started a process for further restriction on PFAS. The dates for broad PFAS registration proposed by 5 EU countries, including Germany, is planned for 2025. And Chinese authorities draft a new pollutant management action plan. There's really an increasing public and scientific concern about the use of the PFAS. Now let's have a look at the PTFE, as PTFE is a member of the PFAS family. Wax additives, for example, PE or Canauber wax, have typically a lower density than standard coatings formulations and float to the surface, where they can provide properties like low COF, that means high surface slip is the same like low coefficient of friction, scratch resistance, or anti-blocking properties, just to name a few of them. And if you look at the top left picture, where you have the blue column, which is a paint system, and the red dots, which is the wax, then you see that typical wax additives float to the interface liquid air. On the right-hand side, we have a picture of a PTFE. PTFE behaves different because it has a higher density than a typical coating system, and it is orientated throughout the film and not so much present to the surface. And PTFE has some very interesting properties. First of all, it gives an extremely good abrasion resistance. Along with that, you can also improve scratch resistance. It's chemically inert, and it's absolutely temperature stable, not to mention that it's not on the surface. So when we started a project to find a substitution for PTFE, we decided that we cannot focus on all these properties, that it's not possible to find something exactly the same. So our focus was really to look at abrasion resistance. And we introduced 3 new products: Saraflower 1050, Saraflower 1051, and Saraflower 1052. These are our free of PTFE wax additives, and they have very comparable properties to a typical PE PTFE wax. First of all, they give a superb improvement of abrasion resistance, and they behave very similar to a typical PE PTFE wax additive. They reduce the COF, so that means you can have like a medium, or depending on the product, a stronger reduction of the surface slip. They have a really low impact on gloss because they have a very fine particle size distribution, and on top of that, they are food contact compliant. Now, there are also differences. The Saraflower 1050 is recommended for systems where you need low haze values, so it is a very fine particle size distribution, especially for clear coats. Saraflower 1051 had the broadest application area, so this can be used in a wide range of paint systems. And Saraflower 1052 is the product which you use if you want to have a little bit lower COF value, so it provides a little bit more surface slip. Now, there are so many test methods to test abrasion. Really depends on the industry and the application area you're working in. So we will just show some examples from what we did. And I would like to start with a little movie, the sheen hardness tester. you see on the left side, that's a typical test method used in packaging coatings or coil coatings. So that means you have a needle and you put weight on, and then you have here a coated panel. So you scratch with this defined weight over the panel surface. And in this case, there is no scratch, so that's perfect. In this case, we would repeat the test again with a higher weight on the needle. So first we need to release the panel, we move it to a little bit different place, and then we fix it again, and then we increase the weight a little bit more, and we do the same test again. And what do you see? Oops, it's not good. So this would be a failure. So that's typical for can coating. And we have tested here COF and sheen hardness in a BPA, bisphenol A free system. To show you some results, you see that here. So on the left side, you see the COF values. COF is the dark blue bar. So the higher it is, the less surface slip you have. So the little bars, which are quite low, this is a good value. On the right-hand side, you see sheen hardness. That's just the opposite. The higher it is, the better is the result. And here you see the light blue dots, which give the indication. So what do we see? We have used here 1% wax additive in every formulation, except the first bar, that's the control without wax. So no COF, no scratch resistance. And then followed by Ceraflower 996R, Ceraflower 999, and Cerakote 607R. These are 3 PE PTFE reference wax additives. And then the last 3 bars is Ceraflower 1050, Ceraflower 1051, and Ceraflower 1052. These are our PTFE-free alternatives. And now what do we see? If we look at the COF, the first one, Ceraflower 996, is at 0.05. So it's a tiny little bit better than the others, but then you can't see any differences anymore. So Ceraflower 999 and 607R, they are on an equal level compared to the 3 new free of PTFE wax additives. If we look at the sheen hardness, that means the buttons, the little dots on top, then it's the same. One is sticking out, that's the Cerakote 607R, that's a little bit better here, provides a little bit more hardness, but then especially the one with the green circle around, Ceraflower 1051, is on the same level like, for example, Ceraflower 999 and Ceraflower 996R. So we can say our new free of PTFE wax additives are in this kind of PPA-free clear coat system on the same level regarding sheen hardness and COF. Then we go and we have the next example, which is a coil coating, polyester melamine top coat, 18 micrometer dry film thickness. And if you use in a higher gloss system micronized wax additives, it really depends on the particle size and the particle size distribution. So if it's too coarse, you will see when you do a drawdown of a panel which is baked in a coil oven, you would see kind of orange peel along the edge of a light reflection. So what you see here is a panel, and we put it under the light, and you see this white square. So that's the reflection of the light, and we took a photo of that. Top left, you see the control, so that's pretty sharp image. And then on the top, you see again the 3 PE PTFE standards, 996R, Ceraflower 999, and Cerakote 607R. And you see the middle one, 999, Ceraflower 999, is quite good. The others are not so compatible in this test system. And then if we look at the bottom 3 pictures, the Ceraflower 1050 on the left, Ceraflower 1051 in the middle, and Ceraflower 1052 on the right-hand side. You see one is sticking out. That's again in this system, Ceraflower 1051, which gives a really nice and excellent result. So it's a fine particle size distribution. It has no impact on leveling in this coil coating system. Then we move on to another test method. You see that the Watzau tester, it's not so commonly used. It is used, for example, in plastic coatings to measure the abrasion resistance on coated plastic parts. So this is a paper strip, the white one. The paper strip is fixed. I take my beeper with a weight and it's pushed down. And paper is has pretty heavy abrasion properties. So here we measure the length of the paper strip until the coating is damaged. And on the right-hand side, next to the video, you see, I think it's the most common test method used in the coatings market. It is the taper abraser. Here you have two abrasive rollers and the panel rotates and you measure the loss of paint before and after the test method. So let's have a look at some results. So this is, again, the same coil coating top coat. And here we used 1% wax. It's a polyester melamine acid catalyzed system. The blue bars are the taper results. So on the left side, you have control with about, I can't see it, probably 35 milligram loss of paint. And then you see the results again, like before. The last three, one are the free of PTFE wax additives. And here you see Saraflower 1050, and also 1051 and 1052 show excellent abrasion resistance on the equal level to a typical PE-PTFE result. On the top, the blue dots are here the gloss measured in the 60 degrees angle. And also here you see the last three bars. They are on the same level like control, so we have just no or very minimal impact on the gloss. Then, if we move on, we go to a waterborne system. So the free of PTFE wax additives can be used in waterborne system, but only if you have a certain organic co-solvent content. So in a totally co-solvent-free system, it will not work. It will give you caking on the top. So it needs 5 to 10% organic co-solvent. And here we measured on the pictures you see, this is the Watzau tester, which we showed just a slide before, after 3 meter abrasion. And you see, first one is control on the left side. It's totally damaged in no time. The second one is Saraflower 996. It's not so good. It was less performing than the others. The third one is Saraflower 999. That is not bad. It has the best result here. And then followed by the free of PTFE Saraflower 1050, which is a good performance, but better is Saraflower 1051. That's the second from the left side, and then the left one, Saraflower 1052, they have an excellent performance. We also measure the taper, that's the blue bar over there, and you see the control has 25 milligram loss of paint, and the others are 4. So they are all equal. So we can say that also here in this example in the waterborne system, the free of PTFE wax are completely comparable with PE-PTFE. Now, to summarize that, we can say all 3 wax additives are free of regulatory concern. They show the same technical performance as PE-PTFE wax additives. And you find a variety of properties which I explained during my presentation. So, have you become curious? Are you interested? Would you like to test our new PTFE alternatives and be ahead of regulatory concerns? Just get in touch with me or my colleagues to learn more about it, because there is much more. So that's all about the free of PTFE wax additives. Unfortunately, the development of free of PTFE wax additives was not the only regulatory-driven product development lately. I would like to introduce Philip, who will now talk about another regulatory-driven product development story. Hello, Philip. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Brigitte. My story to tell today is the story of our polysiloxanes with extended food contact compliance. If you think about it, everybody knows some kind of tools. Tools for general work tasks that fulfill general but necessary duties. But there are also very specialized devices. Devices that are designed to fulfill a specific job in a specific environment. Now imagine you look inside your toolbox at home. Is it disordered or neat? Is it filled with general or specialized things? Maybe you can also find a tool inside that was designed by yourself to solve a special problem. Let's have a look inside a part of BYK's toolbox of solutions and how it is sorted. I would like to show you our BYK 300 family of specialized surface additives. Polysiloxanes to fulfill a specific task. These products can look back to 50 years of success stories, 50 years of innovative work to optimize fundamental properties. As all devices and machines, at some point it all started with general and simple tools. But as everything else, it has to undergo some kind of optimization of development process to adapt to the user's needs. Our story here starts with the BYK 300 in the year 1970. BYK 300 itself was developed in 1970 to improve leveling and increase substrate wetting properties of your solvent-borne systems. It is the right choice if you need a medium polar product with medium reduction of surface tension and good anti-blocking properties. This is something to choose if you're looking for broad compatibility, a balanced property portfolio, and increased gloss, together with very good recoatability. And of course, no impact on foam stabilization. As I said, tools are developed to function under specific conditions in specific environments. But what happens if the environment changes? Right. The tools need to be adapted to the new conditions and need to be optimized for new environments. The coating market changed from pure solvent-based systems to more water-based coatings formulations. So we took the BYK 300, did the research, and in 1973, BYK introduced the BYK 301, what is a modified version optimized for solvent-borne systems and water-based systems with high co-solvent content. And because the trend stabilized and water-based systems included less and less solvent, the next modification was introduced in 1987. This is the BYK 302, a modified version of the same silicone, but solvent-free for solvent and water-based and solvent-free coatings formulations. Some years later, the BYK 342 was introduced as a modified version for all kinds of coating systems, but with higher surface tension reduction and a stronger influence on COF. Coming to the year 2019 and the products BYK 3750 and BYK 3754. At some point, cyclic siloxanes underwent a re-evaluation in the REACH regulation process. This came to a new step in 2019 when cyclic siloxanes were evaluated as persistent, bioaccumulative, and toxic. This leads to necessary substances of very high concern labeling for all kinds of products if any of these cyclic siloxanes are present above a certain level. This new labeling means additional precautions need to be taken for handling in production, and also the impact on handling of final paint, ink, adhesive, or plastic at the end customer needs to be evaluated. And this situation is not acceptable in many of your modern coating solutions. To overcome this new regulatory-driven labeling, we developed a purification process for our well-established BYK 300 family, implemented a new production step, and came out with a completely new product line of additives with a very low cyclic siloxane content, without changing any of the other product properties. These new purified additives offer well-known properties with no SVHC labeling and can be used in existing and also new formulations in the same way as the already existing products. BYK 3750 is the purified version of BYK 300, and BYK 3754 is the purified version of BYK 342. We all know that regulatory is never standing still, and that we need to have our toolbox filled with solutions before the changes happen. This is why we always keep our eyes open for upcoming changes, new regulations, and keep our additives at state of the art. As it is in the real world, also optimized versions can be impacted by changing regulations, even shortly after implementation. In year 2021, we introduced BYK 3755 and BYK 3756. This is because some of our pretty new purified versions saw a change in toxicological assessment. An included carrier substance was re-evaluated in 2020 and caused the maximum level for food contact applications to go down to a much lower level as before. But in some applications, you need a higher amount of surface additives to adjust your leveling and wetting properties to a suitable level. This said, we started the optimization process again. The goal was to develop enhanced versions with same properties, but higher possible amount of food contact applications. Finally, we managed to extend the BYK 300 family once more and introduced new products without SVHC labeling and extended food contact compliance, without changing any of the other product properties. BYK 3755 is the food contact enhanced version of BYK 3750, and BYK 3756 is the food contact enhanced version of BYK 3754. We tested these products in a wide field of applications to make sure we can keep the excellent performance story that started with BYK 300 in 1970. And I want to show you some results. Here we can see the static surface tension of an epoxy phenolic gold lacquer with 0.1% delivery form of the original product and of both new product lines on total formulation. The y-axis shows the surface tension in millinewton per meter, and as you can find, the control shows a liquid surface tension of 29 millinewton per meter. The BYK 300, BYK 3750, and BYK 3755 all reduce the surface tension to the same level. There is no difference in performance. Same applies to BYK 342, BYK 3754, and BYK 3756. All these products reduce the surface tension very equal to the same level. On this slide, we can see the COF values, sheen hardness, and surface evaluation in an epoxy phenolic gold lacquer with, again, 0.1% delivery form of the original product and of both new product lines on total formulation. The y-axis on the left side shows the COF, presented by the blue bars. And as you can find, the control shows a high COF. The BYK 300, BYK 3750, and BYK 3755 all reduce the COF to the same low level. Same applies to BYK 342, BYK 3754, and BYK 3756. All reduce the COF very equal to the same level. The y-axis on the right side shows the sheen hardness, presented by the light blue diamonds. And as you can find, the control shows a low hardness of only 150 grams. The BYK 300, BYK 3750, and BYK 3755 all increase the hardness to 300 grams. Same is valid for BYK 342, BYK 3754, and BYK 3756. On the top of the chart, we can see the surface evaluation. None of the products show any migration, but all of them show a good leveling. This is the BYK 300 family for now, but that does not mean that this is the end of the success story. There will be a lot more to develop and new regulations to comply to in the future. You will find that we keep our portfolio updated to be ready for the next change in regulatory at any time. You can check your needs and application fields, and I'm sure we can find a product in our toolbox that is specialized in a way you need. And if the need changes, there will be a product that carries the change with you, because the future is now. This was a lot of information about surface modifying additives, but is there more? Other products to talk about that can tell a story about changes in regulatory? I know there are, and Julia will tell you more about them.
Thank you very much, Philip. Yes, you are right. The future is now. And beside the silicone-based additive, there's even more to share, particularly all insights to BYK's environmentally friendly associative thickeners. And with that, happy welcome to all of you from my side as well. It's my great pleasure to continue and to invite you to a journey through the world of BYK's rheology additives. As you might know, BYK offers a broad variety of products to adjust the flow properties of liquid formulations. We deal with this product group since many years, but I have the feeling that since the last 3 to 4 years, product regulations have become much more crucial as they have been 10 years ago. Would you agree on that point? For today, I have selected one special product, our rheoBYK H7625VF, which provides an excellent example to demonstrate that product performances and regulatory compliance are not desperate contradictions. BYK's comprehensive rheology portfolio compiles products for water-based, solvent-based, and solvent-free systems. On the left hand, marked in blue, you can find the product families which we highly recommend for water-based systems. In addition to the liquid associative thickeners, we also offer products in powder form, such as the synthetic clays, named Leponite, or the natural hydroclays, the Optigel family, and finally, not to forget, the very well-known liquid thixotropes, the rheoBYK 420 family. In contrast, on the right hand, you can refer to the product families marked in orange, which we highly recommend for solvent-based and solvent-free systems. The organoclays and the mixed minerals as our powder form family, and the 2 liquid series, the liquid thixotropes and the Thix boosters, that offers a synergistic boost on the rheological properties of fumed silica or the garamite family. And as you can see from the overview, we offer a wide range of different rheology additives in our portfolio, which also requires a broad know-how at the same time to use and apply these products in coating formulations. Amongst others, also this product group is affected by constantly evolving changes in regulations, which are not necessary obstacle in all cases, but provide opportunities for formulators to come up with more sustainable product solutions in future. But first, let us have a look to the past. Do you actually know how mature and established our associative thickeners are? In 2013, BYK was able to expand its rheology additive portfolio through an acquisition and has completed the existing portfolio. So currently you can choose from 10 different associative thickeners in our portfolio. And over the last almost 20 years, each of the product has been developed to meet the ever-growing technical demands for waterborne formulations and to provide particular unique selling properties for decorative as well as industrial coating formulations. And back in 2020, the preservative package has been adjusted in order to meet the current regulatory requirements. But where's the journey taking us? What does future-oriented product development mean? Of course, products for the future should comply with all necessary regulatory framework. And how can we do that? We are convinced that solvent-free or solids products and products with special performance features meet the spirit of the time, and believe me, we have fantastic colleagues in our research and development department who make apparently the impossible possible. So you can be very excited about what we as your additive supplier have in store for you. So let us elaborate on the rheoBYK family a little bit more. So which paint properties can be influenced in waterborne coatings, and how can the rheoBYK family contribute to the final coating performance? The rheoBYK associative thickeners portfolio comprises of products to provide pseudoplastic to Newtonian flow. The low-shear thickeners, such as the rheoBYK 7600, offer the highest pseudoplasticity and are recommended to improve for the storage stability of waterborne paints, lacquers, and coatings, amongst other properties. The high shear thickeners provide more Newtonian flow and are highly recommended to positively influence the application properties such as batter resistance. And all products are APU, tin-free, and have a high pH tolerance. The products can be simply post-added to the system, and the combination of a high and a low shear thickener are easily possible in order to adjust the most optimized rheology profile possible. But where are our associative thickeners produced to be shipped all over the world? On the one hand, we produce our associative thickeners at a dedicated production plant in Louisville, US, and on the other hand, at BYK's largest production site here in Wesel, Germany. So from Louisville as well as from Germany, finished products are delivered all over the world. But back to the highlight product for today, I would like to share with you some more details on a unique product, rheoBYK H7625VF, that is produced at the German production site. But what paint properties can be influenced by this product in waterborne coatings? Does it comply with certain regulations? The product is a low shear thickener that comes 20% in water. It is VOC and SVOC free, tin free, as well as APU free, and it complies with the latest biocide regulation and the associated reclassification of the substance MIT, as we have adjusted the preservative package in 2020. Interestingly, this product is even suitable for formulations that requires EU Eco-label, Blauer Engel, and Nordic Swan Eco-label. So in order to facilitate your product selection, we provide you with special documents in which you can find specific product data and wherever the selected product is suitable for your regulatory framework. Another outstanding advantage of rheoBYK H7625VF is the easy product handling and incorporation at any stage of the paint production due to its reasonably low viscosity compared to conventional associative thickeners, as shown in this side-by-side comparison. Associative thickeners are used to achieve a specific rheology profile. The rheoBYK H7625VF offers a pseudoplastic flow behavior, which can improve and optimize the anti-settling properties. But the special feature of this product is that in addition to the excellent anti-settling properties, it does not sacrifice flow and leveling properties at all. Therefore, we can conclude rheoBYK H7625VF can be used as a standalone product to achieve an overall performance profile in waterborne formulations. The comparison of selective BYK associative thickener demonstrates that an exceptional performance profile is achieved by rheoBYK H7625VF in a water-based acrylic paint. Although this thickener offers a pseudoplastic flow behavior, it provides a unique flow and leveling performance in conjunction with outstanding paint properties, and at the same time, the product offers significant improvement of anti-sagging properties in a 2-pack water-based acrylic topcoat. And these two examples illustrate that rheoBYK H7625VF is an excellent thickener choice that complies with current regulations and provides pseudoplastic flow behavior with excellent final rheology profile and optimized paint properties. In addition to the entire clay portfolio for water-based, solvent-based, and solvent-free systems, we also offer tailor-made associative thickeners for a multitude of water-based applications. Not only the rheology additives are affected, but all other products should also be considered. And it's our passion to develop and provide regulatory compliant product solutions to our customers far beyond the silicone-based additives. With this in mind, I would like to hand over to my colleague Guillaume Jonqui, the head of Technology Group Surface. So please remember and do not forget, we have the experts, the experience, and the know-how. So dear customers, we can do it.
Yes, we can do it. Thank you very much and congratulations. What a nice lecture this was. And I would like to ask Philip and Brigitte also back on stage. We're keeping promises. I said it before. We have a Q&A function where you can type in your questions. And we randomly choose them and then ask a couple of them here on stage right to the presenters after their presentation. And here we are now. And I went to the back office with all the people locked in there, and I've got some cards with the questions printed on them. And I would like to start with Brigitte with the first question. Don't be surprised. Can I use the new PTFE-free wax additives also in waterborne systems?
Yes, as I shown during my presentation, you can use it in waterborne systems, but you need to be careful and check what is the organic co-solvent content, because the wax additives will not work in pure water. What happens? They will float to the surface because of the high density difference. So it's really necessary to use systems with 5–10% organic co-solvent content. And also, I would always recommend that for waterborne systems, do a storage test, go at 40 degrees or 35 degrees in a hot box in a storage, and see what happens after 10 days, 14 days of storage. If the wax is homogeneously distributed, it's perfect. If it floats to the surface, then maybe it's not enough organic co-solvent.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Philip, the next question to you. How can we get information about actual food contact status of the products we use?
If you're looking for actual food contact status of your products, you can use our new product food contact guide. And this guide you can find on our homepage, byk.com, if you go to service and food contact. And the guide includes all information for all our products. The products are sorted by product group, and there are information about all different regulations that are necessary for food contact or similar applications. And if you find your product in there, you can see what regulations these products comply to. And after that, on the same page on our homepage, on the bottom part, you can find a slide where you can download the food contact sheet for the exactly product that you're looking for. And on this food contact sheet, you can find all the information you need, how much you can use, and what regulations it complies to.
Great, it's all there. Thank you very much. Julia, the next question to you. Why was the biocide package of rheology products adjusted in 2020?
Yeah, this is a really good question. As Brigitte mentioned during her introduction, the substance MIT, which is a commonly preservative for water-based products, has been reclassified with the result that 15 ppm MIT may not be exceeded in order to avoid the labeling in the safety data sheet, which is the H370 phrase, and additional in pictogram, the exclamation mark will appear on the safety data sheet. And this reclassification is officially in place since May 2020. And in order to prevent this labeling, we have adjusted the biocide package, but not only for the thickeners, also for selected water-based defoamers and wax additives.
Perfect, thanks. As I see, we have a lot of time for another couple of questions. If you're fine with that, I would go on with the next question for Brigitte. What is the best way to incorporate the Serra Flour 1051? Do I need to grind it?
Okay, yeah, it's a micronized wax, it's a powder, but you don't need to grind it. So you can post-add it to your coatings formulation at the end of the formulation, but I would make sure that you have sufficient shear force for the incorporation, because as it is a wax is relatively unpolar, and it's it's not like a free-flowing powder. You need to put some power into separate the particles from each other. So that means you can, if you have a good mixer, a dissolver or something, not just a low-speed pedal mixer, that's not enough. But if you have a medium-strong mixer, then you can just post-edit, incorporate it. But I would also allow some time, because as it is a powder, you need to be sure that the particles are wetted properly. So just throwing it into the batch and then a quick mix is maybe not a good idea. But I would give it a good stir and take some time, and then you can be sure that you have a good incorporation of the wax into your coating system.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Philip, another question to you. We use BYK 300 in our solvent-based coating system. We would like to exchange BYK 300 with a new alternative. How should we do the exchange?
So the new products, the two new product lines that I introduced in my presentation, they are exactly designed to be easy exchangeable. So if you, for example, have the BYK 300 as the standard product in your system, it doesn't matter if you use the cyclic siloxane reduced version or the version with the increased food contact compliance. You are able to exchange these products with the two new product lines one-to-one in delivery form to make it most easy way for you to exchange it without having any problems or changes in properties.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Julia, another question to you.
For me, okay.
Does BYK also provide EU eco-label documents for RheoBYK H 7625VF?
Yes, we have these documents available on request, and our regulatory team are looking forward to support the customer to provide these documents.
Perfect. I'm not quite sure. I think this one is for you, Philip. How should we evaluate surface additives in our coating systems?
Yeah, this question is similar, I think, to the question that was asked to Brigitte, how you can use the wax additives. So for the surface additives, it's always important that you test the additives in your specific coating system. For example, you can put the additives into your resin system or in your resin solvent blend to make sure that they are compatible, that they do not cause any turbidity in the system. And for the rest of the properties, you need to test in a way that you can make sure that these additives fit your needs and the specific points you are looking at, that they suit these points. Like, for example, if you have a spray coating application, you should take the additives, put them into your system with different dosages, and then do your spray application with your parameters. And look at the leveling, look at the foam stabilization, and look at all the things you need to evaluate to make sure you use the right amount and the right additive, of course.
Philip, Brigitte, Julia, thank you very much. What a great way to start off with the first lecture for today. You are dismissed. You can now go have a couple of drinks already, but wait for us later on. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Don't want to throw you off the
Bye-bye.
stage, but you have to leave now. And for you guys out there, don't forget, there are expert talks taking place tomorrow, and you can book a slot. It's quite easy. It's intuitive. Just scroll down on this page beneath the live stream window, and you can book your slot quite easily. And the Q&A function is used pretty heavily, as I can just read. Over 100 questions were coming in, and we could only choose a couple of them randomly and ask them here on stage. But be sure and don't worry, no question will remain unanswered. There is a team with a couple of people that we locked in just for this. They have a window, they have no external distraction, no social media, nothing, a glass of water maybe, and they're there for you. They focus on your questions and they will answer them. So keep on using the Q&A function. We are very happy about it. Thanks a lot. And there is a poll function as well, so we would like to know if you liked the first lecture so far and the presentation. It's a 1 to 5 star ranking, 5 stars for very, very good, and 1 to 4 you shouldn't need, because everything is really, really cool up here. Now it is time to freshen up a little bit for us. You could go and open the windows and grab a glass of water, and we will be back in about 5 minutes. Thank you very much, and see you later. Welcome back to this year's BYK Live Event. There's so many people tuning in from all around the globe, almost 100 countries. We appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for being with us and using the Q&A function and everything. It's really, really great to be in an interaction with you guys out there. I hope you could use that little break to open the windows and, most importantly, refill your cups with some water, because this is a perfect transmission for me. We have a lecture now which is all about water-based products. What once has been a trend nowadays is of highest importance. BYK has developed quite interesting solutions in this field, and I'm very happy to introduce you to Markus Vogel, who is Head of Global End-Use Decorative Coatings, Steffen Romanski, Head of Global End-Use Wood Coatings, and Lara Walter, Head of Technical Service Marine and Protective Coatings, who will now show you every detail about all of this. The next lecture is called Turn Water-Based Challenges into Opportunities with Labeling-Free Dispersing Additives for Binder-Free Grinds, Next Generation Silicone Defoamer, and New Defoamer for High-Build Water-Based Systems. Enjoy, and welcome on stage, Markus. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Mark, for the nice introduction. Again, it's a pleasure to work with you. Also from my side, a very warm welcome to the second session of our BYK Live event today with the title Get Inspired by Water-Based Innovations. So here we have the focus on wetting and dispersing additives, as well as on 2 new defoamers. I want to start with a statement. Solvent-based coatings have always been the best. Yes, these are established systems. Everybody has experiences with solvent-based formulations. They show a very good performance. Endless number of raw materials are available. You have a broad range of solvents, a broad range of polarities available, but times are changing. Years ago already, it started to switch from solvent-based to water-based formulations. So water-based coatings are already the future. In some application areas, they already dominate the market, for example, in architectural coatings. More than 90% or 95% in some regions is already water-based, but also in other market segments like protective coatings, industrial coatings, automotive coatings. They have already a significant market share. And the growing rates of water-based coatings is much higher than for solvent-based systems. What are the reasons for the switch from solvent-based to water-based? For sure, one big reason are all the regulations. Here you see just some examples of regulations. Eco-labels, the European eco-labeling, the Blue Angel, the Green Seal, company internal regulations, or also governmental regulations. And all of them are dealing mainly or partially with VOC reduction. And the solution is water-based formulations to make formulations more healthier, to reduce hazardous substances, and to develop more environmentally friendly coatings. So at least a contribution to less harmful, healthier, and also to sustainable coating formulations, which is a really trend in the industry. But the change from water-based to solvent-based, to water-based formulations is often quite difficult, because now we are talking about just one solvent, water, with a certain polarity and with a very high surface tension. So new binders were developed for water-based formulations, and with that also new additives were needed to achieve the same good performance which you know from solvent-based coatings, or better performance than solvent-based formulations. And we at BYK like challenges. We have already a broad portfolio for water-based formulations, wetting and dispersing additives, surface additives, defoamers. And the majority of new projects, of new products, is mainly for water-based formulations. So with our innovative additives, we want to support your daily work. We want to simplify your developments. We want to make your life easier in the lab. We want to improve the formulations we want to be a partner for you for the new developments to achieve the highest aesthetic demands combined with the best protection properties also in water-based formulations. Now coming to the first products of this session. Labeling-free wetting and dispersing additives for binder-free grinds, but not just for binder-free grinds or binder-free pigment concentrates, also for co-grinds. And here we start. Why are wetting and dispersing additives so essential? You see it here in this small video. Pigments and water, they don't like each other. They cannot be wetted just by water. But adding just a droplet of wetting and dispersing additive, you see an immediate wetting of the particles. And this is the first and very important step in the dispersion process, wetting of particles, replacing air by a liquid. In the second step, then, you grind down the agglomerates to smaller agglomerates, in an ideal case, to primary particles, to get the highest color strength. There's a direct correlation between particle size and color strength. But at the end, the pigment particles have still a high affinity to each other, so they have to be stabilized. And this is also the job of the wetting and dispersing additive. Stabilizing by steric stabilization, electrostatic stabilization, or the combination of both, the so-called electrosteric stabilization, to achieve at the end the highest color strength and the best long-term stabilization of the pigments in your formulation, in your water-based pigment concentrate, or in the base paint. But also technologies changed over time. In former times, mainly binder-containing pigment concentrates were produced or developed. For this, we had BYK 2012, a very good additive for binder-containing pigment concentrates. But technology changed to binder-free pigment concentrates, so just water and pigments. And here you need new additives. And for this reason, we developed in the past this BYK 2015. This could take over the job also from the binder. And now you have more freedom with a pigment concentrate. The pigment concentrates with our binder show a broader compatibility to different systems. But you see also here on this slide again already this BYK 2015. Labeling HC17 comes from the biocide package in the additive. And therefore, the further development was this BYK 2015 BF. BF stands very simple for biocide free. So now a wetting and dispersing additive, labeling free, especially for a broad range of organic pigments. And especially for wood coating formulations. It is a solution of a structured acrylate copolymer with pigment affinic groups. It's VOC-free and, as mentioned, biocide-free. And I show you now two examples. Here, first example, organic pigment, organic red, PR122. We prepared a pigment concentrate with 30% pigment loading and 25% solid on pigment of this BYK 2015 BF. And then we added this pigment concentrate to a white base paint, to a high gloss acrylic emulsion paint for wood coating applications. And you see the nice color strength development and the very low delta E value. So this BYK 2015 BF shows a very good compatibility to this system. But for wood coatings, transparency is very important. And here you see the second example. With organic green, with halogen green pigment. We prepared the pigment concentrate and added it to a clear acrylic wood coating formulation. And most important, and you see it here, the very high transparency, the high clearness, and the nice color in the base paint. But what about other additives, other pigments? Inorganic pigments, transparent iron oxides, or even carbon blacks. Here we saw some limitations with this BYK 2015 BF. And therefore, now we come to our latest developments for wetting and dispersing additives. This BYK 2018 and this BYK 2019. For binder-free grinds and for co-grinds. You see it already here on this slide, labeling free. But what is behind? We have one basic structure for both additives. We have a hydrophobic backbone and then hydrophilic side chains. You need in water-based formulation these hydrophilic side chains for the stabilization, for the steric stabilization of the pigments. The side chain has to be soluble in water, compatible with water. But on the other hand, you need a high affinity to different pigments. And therefore we have groups with a high affinity to inorganic pigments. But in this molecule, we have something more. We have also in the structure pigment affinity groups for organic pigments, which makes this structure very universal for all kinds of pigments. By the way, this molecule or these additives are produced according to the so-called CPT, to the controlled polymerization technology, which gives a very defined molecular weight and narrow molecular weight distribution, which then gives also a better performance. Coming to some benefits, some key figures of Disperbuc 2018 and 2019. When you use it in pigment concentrates, you will achieve a strong viscosity reduction. For you, it means you can achieve high pigment loadings with a Newtonian flow behavior. When you add these pigment concentrates then to your base paint, you achieve highest color strengths with organic pigments and transparent iron oxides, excellent transparency combined with high gloss and low haze values. The Disperbuc 2018 you can even use at very high pH values, thinking about silicate paints or water-based epoxies. And it shows really a broad compatibility over a large number of binder systems. And as mentioned, you can use it really for a broad range of pigments, not just reduced to inorganic or organic pigments, even transparent iron oxides or carbon blacks. Coming to some results with Disperbuc 2018. Here you see a short video about the viscosity reduction, again with an organic red pigment. In this case, Hosterpan Pink E. Yeah, very nice flow behavior of the pigment concentrate at a pigment loading of 30%. This was directly after production. But you see here in the graph, the yellow line is Disperbuc 2018. Also after storage, where some other additives failed. So at the beginning, 2 additives in this graph were very good, but after the storage, they differentiate. Just Disperbuc 2018 gave also after storage the good performance, the low Newtonian flow behavior. Another example about the efficiency of Disperbuc 2018 and its excellent stabilization at very low additive levels. First, you see here organic green, again halogen green L8730 in the pigment concentrate. Then we add this pigment concentrate in acrylic dispersion-based paint. 30% additive solid on pigment. You see nice delta E value, high color strength development. We set this as 100%. And then we reduced the additive dosage down to 15% solid on pigment. And you see directly we lose color strengths and we achieve just very high delta E values. So the additive is not efficient anymore at this low dosage. But with Disperbuc 2018 now, you see at the same low dosage, we achieved the same good high color strengths as with 30% solid on pigment of the standard wetting and dispersing additive. And again, a very good compatibility in the base paint expressed by very low delta E values. So it is more efficient and sometimes less is more. I come later to this. Transparent iron oxide, the next example. First of all, iron oxide yellow. You see here with iron oxide yellow in a wood coating formulation, the really high clearness, the good transparency, the brilliance of the paint formulation just after production of the pigment concentrate and then added to the base paint, but also after storage. And sometimes you see it here much better. After storage, this could be the problem. On the right-hand side pictures, you see that after the storage, the haze value is increased and the transparency is decreased. Means the long-term stability is not given with the market standard. With Disperbuc 2018, over a long time, you achieve the same good performance. Co-grinds. Now we are coming to marine protective. Here, an example, water-based epoxy primer. We use titanium dioxide and fillers, and we add 1.5% active on the fillers and pigments. And here, with a standard, first you see something is going wrong there. There is a loss of coating properties, especially delamination occurs. And with Disperbuc 2018 and 2019, it's really minimized. We achieved this by a very good balance between the hydrophobic backbone on one hand and the hydrophilic side chains, which you need for the stabilization of the pigments. But because of the good balance between these two, let's say, chemical chains, we minimize the side effect of corrosion. Means also in this case, a more efficient additive can lead to better coating properties because you use less of them. And then additive like Disperbyc 2018-2019 minimize these side effects again. So you achieve high resistances and good corrosion protection in your formulation. Another example, industrial coatings. Here we see a 2-pack PU coating for industrial application, mixed pigmentation, yellow pigment, green pigment, again an inorganic yellow pigment, and titanium dioxide. And after storage of 2 weeks at 40 degrees, we applied the paint. And you see the lower delta E value with Disperbyc 2019. Just the delta E value of 0.24, which is very, very good, combined with a high gloss and good color strength development. So it means both additives are very universal in use. Co-grinds, pigment concentrates. Coming now to the overview. When you are looking for a specialist just for inorganic pigments, then we see that in some cases Disperbyc 2019 is a little bit better. So for titanium dioxide and inorganic pigments, first choice should be Disperbyc 2019. When you are looking for a more universal wetting and dispersing additive, and you want to grind any kind of pigment, transparent iron oxides, organic pigments, or even carbon blacks, then the first choice is Disperbyc 2018. It covers really the whole range of pigments. And you see it here. We tested it in all of our end users. And we achieved always good results in architectural coatings, in water-based binder-free pigment concentrates, as well as in silicate paints. It is very stable also at high pH values. We achieved excellent results in graphic art applications. In wood and furniture coatings, excellent transparency, which is very important. You want to see the nice structure of the wood. So for organic pigments and transparent iron oxides, excellent solution. In automotive coatings, we achieved excellent results in the slurry production. I showed you the example of a general industrial coating formulation. Remember the 2-pack PU, the green one, with high color strength development, high gloss levels, and low delta E values. Protective coatings, remember the water-based epoxy primer with minimized side effects, so better corrosion protection for your marine and protective formulations. In floor coatings, water-based epoxies, 2-pack water-based epoxies, you grind usually in the amine part, so again at higher pH values. Yeah? And also here we find excellent results and a good storage stability. And last but not least, even in adhesives and sealants to grind your filler particles in the formulation, again, very good results. And now remember the side effects of additives and water-based formulations, the high surface tension. And usually you have to use surfactants to reduce the surface tension. And one negative side effect could be form stabilization. And this is now the topic of the next presentation. And with saying that, I want to forward now to Steffen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Markus, for your nice presentation and also for the teaser to my presentation. Before I start with my topic, I would like to say hello. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen in front of the screens. My name is Steffen Romanski, and I'm going to continue our journey through up-to-date additives for modern water-based formulations. And as Markus already said, so water-based formulations clearly have their advantages when it comes to sustainability, but to achieve comparable wetting and other properties to solvent-based coatings, they do need additivation. And some of these so-called surface additives have negative side effects like foam stabilization. As you know, foam can have severe consequences, either during production and also during the application process. In the production, foam limits the amount of material you can fill into your reaction vessels. And also during the application, of course, it's even worse because you have longer waiting times, and if the foam stays in the coating during the drying process, you have severe visual defects and also limited protective properties of your coatings. Because of that, the use of defoamers is really recommended to achieve the best from your formulations, to get bubble-free and flawless coatings. Over the last decades, a couple of different defoamers have been developed, like mineral oil defoamers, polymeric defoamers, but also silicone-based defoamers. Silicone defoamers have unique properties, and one thing is they can be tailored to the paint system by varying their chemical structure. Most of these old silicone defoamers are actually tailor-made for mature paint systems, and because of that, in modern paint systems with lower amounts of cold solvents, they have high incompatibilities, which can lead to negative side effects like, for example, haze, like cratering, bad leveling, and because of that, it is time for something new. So we developed a new class of defoamers, and one of the examples for these defoamers is BYK 092. They are tailored for up-to-date paint systems, and because of that, they really fit into the systems with low cold solvent amount. They can easily be incorporated into the paint system and have outstanding clarity and transparency. Last but not least, they still maintain high efficiency, which makes them very, very valuable for you to achieve the best for your formulation. I would like to start with a short summary of the BYK 092. So it has excellent defoaming in several systems, and I will show you examples for clear coatings, matted coatings, and even pigmented systems. It has no or minor influence on haze and cratering, and also it's suitable for different application methods, and especially for industrial wood coatings, which is my area of responsibility. It is important that you can use it in roller coaters or also in automatic spraying. But you can also use it for application by brush or roller manually. Yeah, it's of course always very easy to make such bold statements, and now I would like to show you some experimental results from our laboratories to really highlight why I'm saying that. The first test that we're doing is the so-called pour-out test. In this test, actually, we used matted furniture coating system based on an acrylic binder. And the first thing you do is you use a disper mat to steer air into the coating, more or less. So it's always the same time and the same shear force that you introduce the air with. And once the steering is stopped, the coating is immediately poured out onto a black PMMA plate. And after that, you let the coating stand for about 1 minute, and then you do the first visual examination. So if you just wait the minute and then you take a look, on the left-hand side we have our competitor 2, which is a market standard, and there you see that it has a lot of foam left, so maybe it's a bit too compatible. In the middle we have the BYK 092, which has no foam left and really a flawless surface, so really nice result. While on the right-hand side, the defoamer is really active, so you can see no foam, but you see some surface defects, so maybe it is a bit too incompatible. Then we take the same PMMA plate, let it dry for about 12 hours, and afterwards we do the visual examination again. So on the left-hand side, you can see the foam is really incorporated into the surface during the drying process, so no air can leave the system. In the middle, the BYK 092 has a really nice surface, very good result, while on the right-hand side you can see that the surface defects that you've already seen in the wet film still maintain in the dried film, so also not an ideal solution, while BYK 092 is really giving you very good properties. A very important factor for defoamers is really their incorporation. And to show that, we used actually a clear coat system, so we can not only look at the defoaming properties, but also on gloss and haze. And we poured it on a transparent PE foil instead of a black PMMA plate. So then we checked different incorporation conditions. And under so-called very mild conditions, you can see, for example, here, 1 minute at 2 meters per second. The competitor product is really giving a lot of incompatibility. You can see cratering, and that is quite normal. So that's not very severe. But the BYK 092 actually is already a lot better. Still not perfect, so I wouldn't recommend to use these conditions for the incorporation, but it gives you a first hint that it's really compatible to the system. When you use medium incorporation conditions, like 10 minutes at about 4 meters per second, you can see that both our market standard and the BYK 092 have a really nice surface. There's no foam, there's no cratering, but when you have a closer look, you can see that the BYK 092 has very nice transparency and no haze, while there is clearly some haze in the competitor product. So that is really nice for clear coats, and the BYK 092 is outstanding here. When you do very harsh conditions for the incorporation, you can over-emulsify your defoamers, so it loses efficiency again. At 30 minutes, at 6 meters per second, for example, the BYK 092 still gives you good results and a nice surface, while you see the first surface defects again in the competitor product. So you have a very broad compatibility to different incorporation methods when you use the BYK 092, which is clearly another advantage. Now I would like to show you some tests that have been done in our architectural coatings lab, and they also used a high-gloss transparent coating based on an acrylic binder. The foam was rated with grades from 1, which is perfect, no foam, to 5, a lot of foam. And as you can see, without defoamer, there is a lot of foam, while with the market standard and the BYK 092, both products show nice defoaming. So yeah, if not, it wouldn't be a market standard, right? But when you look at the gloss and the haze of the coating, you can clearly see differences. So always the control without the defoamer is the best, and the BYK 092 has a very, very minor influence, while the influence of the market standard is a lot higher. So as in our wood coating systems, also in the architectural coating system, the BYK 092 shows outstanding transparency and really no haze. You can also use this same coating actually and do what we did in our wood coatings lab and pour it on a PE foil on a transparent one and take a photo. This one here is the control without defoamer, and you can see, yes, it is clear, but of course there's a lot of foam. While if you have 0.3% of BYK 092 in your formulation, you get a flawless surface, no haze, perfect transparency, and you can clearly see our nice BYK logo here behind our PE foil. The last system I would like to talk about is actually an emulsion paint system with a lot of pigment loading. So the system that is quite different from the ones that we've shown before. And on the left-hand side, you can see the control without defoamer. On the right-hand side, the BYK 092. So as I think this picture is not self-explaining, I would like to explain you what we did. So we actually took a foam roller, a multiprint roller, and rolled the coating on a contrast chart. And afterwards, we took a microscopic image to really see the differences more pronounced. And on the left-hand side, I think this would also be visible without a microscope. You see a lot of foams, microscopic foam, but also a bit more macroscopic, bigger images, while on the right-hand side, you only see some minor and very small foam bubbles left. So the defoaming is a lot better. But under the microscope also you see, yeah, it's not no foam at all. So it's a very nice defoamer for the system still. Now, after those experimental results, I would like to start my summary again. And the first thing I think is we have seen that the BYK 092 gives excellent defoaming in several systems, be it pigmented, matted, or especially, of course, clear coating systems. It has high clarity there, no haze, and also it has no or very, very minor influence on the cratering, and it is excellent for various applications, for example, conventional spraying, application by roller, or even by brush. Last but not least, actually, I would like to draw the line to our first presentation of today, to the regulatory part. Because in all of our new developments, we really take a focus on regulatory. So also the BYK 092 is VOC-free. It has a very, very low cyclic silicone content. Philip talked about that in the first presentation. It is compliant to several food contact regulations. Actually, also Philip talked about our nice guide on the web page. So you see everything belongs together here. With that, actually, I would like to show that BYK 092 is highly recommended for wood and furniture coatings and also for architectural coatings. That's why these two end users were very prominent in my presentation. But it's also suitable actually for floor coatings, printing inks, or adhesives and sealants. I think especially due to the food contact properties. Now I would like to hand over to my colleague Lara, who will give you some very nice and interesting insights in our development for defoamers for high-build water-based systems. Lara, the stage is yours.
Thank you a lot, Stefan, for the introduction, and a warm welcome from my side as well. So hello, good afternoon, and good morning to every one of you out there. It's nice to have you here with us. So I would like to continue this session of water-based inspirations by showing you a picture. So what is special about this picture? Firstly, when looking at the image, you clearly see an arrow pointing left. Although, when you look a little closer, there are many smaller arrows pointing right. And regardless the larger number of the right pointing arrows, the left pointing arrow stands out. This is in fact a paradox, isn't it? Sometimes we are facing paradox situations and challenges, including the coating industry. For example, protective coatings. In protective coatings, we use water-based systems to protect against water. What's interesting here is that we use something to protect what we want to defend from at the same time. How does it make sense? And how does it work? So that's why I'm now happy to take you to the next step of our journey of water-based inspirations and to even dive a little bit deeper in the world of defoamers. Stefan has already pointed out that the use of a defoamer is of particular importance in water-based formulations. In protective coatings, we are dealing with high-build systems, such as primers, mid-coats, or direct-to-metal coatings. These systems are applied in high film thickness, they are fast-drying, and they are mostly spray-applied by airless technology. And this even enhances the formation of foam, mainly microfoam. So let's take now a closer look at the appearance of a high-build system and zoom in on a coating. As you can see, it's easy to detect all the air entrapments being captured and fixed in the thick and high viscous film. So this entrapped air in the coating will lead to surface defects and therefore to the loss of corrosion resistance. In the protective market, still solvent-borne coatings are dominating, as we are aware that there are several challenges that have to be solved if water-based formulations are used. And one of them is foam. So defects caused by foam make it much more easy for the water to penetrate the coating and to reach the metal surface. This results in the corrosion of the metal and/or in disbonding of the coating. So these processes can be determined by electrochemical impedance spectroscopy. In this test measurement, a glass cylinder is placed on a coated test plate, and filled with an electrolyte, such as sodium chloride solution. This measurement cell is now provided by two electrodes. One is the reference electrode and the other one the working electrode. This test arrangement then is connected to an electric circuit, and a computer with the relevant software records the measurement. At the end of the measurement, you will receive a pair of curves which gives you information about the state of the coating and the internal processes. As a result, the electrochemical impedance spectroscopy provides information about the electrical resistance of a coating. So this diagram shows now the results of the electrochemical impedance spectroscopy of different samples. The impedance was measured at a frequency of 0.1 Hertz. And the higher the value of the impedance, the higher is the electrical resistance of the coating, and therefore the higher the corrosion resistance of the coating. So the sample without any defoamer has lots of surface defects, as it is quite easy for the sodium chloride solution to penetrate into the pores and voids of the coating. Therefore, both, so the initial resistance, but also the resistance after 4 days is quite low, which indicates worse anti-corrosion properties. By using a defoamer, the air entrapments are released, and therefore the water uptake is minimized. The electrical resistance is for that reason much higher, even after 4 days of exposure. BYK 7089 is the first defoamer which has been especially developed for water-based and airless spray-applied high build systems. And by using this new developed defoamer, the electrical resistance of the coating is improved in a significant way. And therefore, BYK 7089 provides a considerable contribution to a long-lasting protection layer and therefore to a sustainable coating. The results of the electrochemical impedance spectroscopy match the results obtained by conventional corrosion test methods, such as neutral salt spray test. Here, the sample without defoamer and also a standard defoamer show blistering and also some rust dots on the surface of the coating, whereas BYK 7089 defoams perfectly and therefore really improves the corrosion resistance of the coating. So these results show the specific need of a defoamer that is able to defoam or to release the foam in coatings that are applied in thick layers. The defoaming effect is also visible within the coating or at the interface of substrate and coating. In this test, we just spray applied by airless technology the coating on a test plate, and so the film thickness was about, let's say, 300 microns wet, more or less. And after some flash-off time and also some curing or drying time in the oven, the coating was removed again by a knife. By doing so, the protection layer on the substrate can be evaluated directly. And the sample with BYK 7089 hardly shows any entrapped air bubbles, and therefore BYK 7089 gives a perfect protection of the substrate. In protective systems, we normally use multi-layer systems, and therefore the recoatability plays a very important role. Usually, silicone-based products, such as defoamers, but also surface additives, for example, they tend to lower the intercoat adhesion. And the intercoat adhesion can be easily checked with a pull-off test. In the pull-off test, metal dollies are bonded directly on the coated test plate by using a very strong adhesive. This construction then is subjected to a tensile strength, the pull-off, and the force required to break the coating bond is measured. So the use of a standard silicone defoamer, in this case, really lowers the intercoat adhesion. And the intercoat adhesion was tested in an epoxy midcoat to a zinc rich primer, as well as to an acrylate top coat. And we incorporated the silicone defoamers at a relatively high dosage of 0.8% in the epoxy midcoat. And as you can see, although BYK 7089 is also based on silicon technology, it does not show any negative impact on the intercoat adhesion. So this is where I would like to introduce you BYK 7089 as a perfect balancer which solves our challenges in water-based protective coatings. So BYK 7089 is a 100% silicon-based defoamer with an excellent balance between defoaming properties on the one hand and a high compatibility in the system on the other hand. So this is really the defoamer which is used to get rid of foam in water-based primers, midcoats, and direct-to-metal coatings. And therefore, we really need this defoamer to improve the corrosion resistance in protective coatings. So nowadays, the binder technology developed, and it's even accepted by high atmospheric corrosivity classes. For instance, since April 2017, all the coatings for the freight container market have been changed from solvent-borne systems to water-based systems. And this example tells us that even for marine and heavy-duty application, water-based coatings turn to be more and more important. So coming back to the beginning, yes, using water-based systems to protect against water seems contradictory at first. However, water-based coatings already have the same performance level as solvent-borne protective coatings, offering the formulator to the opportunity to gain the solvent-borne performance level while also meeting environmental goals. So the time has come, also in protective coatings, to change their direction and take the path in a greener and more sustainable future. Of course, the development and also the use of great water-based products does not only have taken place in the recent time. So by far, this is no news. We at BYK already started to develop water-based products more than 30 years ago. And to be more exact, it started in the year 1990 with the development of the first aqueous wetting and dispersing additive called BYK 190. I assume a lot of you may know this product. Since then, we constantly continued to develop water-based products. And now, today, we are proud to be able to offer more than 250 additives for water-based systems. So as a conclusion of this session, I think an excellent statement is that the change to water-based systems has already happened. Thank you. Mark, I'll pass it along to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Lara. Please stay on stage.
Yes.
I said it before, the Q&A section is really, really on fire. Thank you very much for asking so many questions. This time I took a lot of more questions, and I would like to ask back Steffen and Markus here up on stage so we could start with that little Q&A session. And I already have the first question for Markus.
Okay.
It is like, does the Newtonian flow behavior lead to settlement of the pigments after storage?
Yeah. So with organic pigments, let's say, we have no problems. There, the Newtonian flow behavior is not a big issue. And but even with very, let's say, heavy pigments, inorganic pigments, iron oxides, even this by book 2018, 2019, cannot overcome physical rules. So these pigments can settle down. Therefore, you can use rheological additives like Optigel WX, for example, to adjust a slightly pseudoplastic flow behavior. And then you are on the safe side. Then these pigment concentrates are very stable. So for inorganic pigments, no need. Newtonian flow behavior is good. For inorganic pigments, you need a little bit pseudoplastic flow behavior.
Perfect, thank you very much. Steffen, the next one is up for you. At what point should BYK 092 be incorporated into the system?
Okay, I think it is meant like at what point of the production process in terms of time, I would guess. So as you might remember from my presentation, I've shown you that it has a broad applicability to different shear forces. So in a lot of systems, it can either be applied at the beginning of the process, in the middle, or even at the end of the process. While, of course, you need, if you add it at the end, some steering time afterwards to get proper incorporation. So you can actually, you're relatively free to choose where you incorporate it as long as you have some shear forces to get it properly emulsified.
So many questions. I have so many cards with me over here. Lara, the first one for you.
Yeah.
Beside epoxy systems, can be used for other systems as well?
Yes. So actually, the BYK 7089 was initially developed, yes, for high build epoxy systems. So as I mentioned in the last sentences, so for example, the change in the freight container market, for example, but it also shows perfect deforming properties in other systems. So for example, in direct-to-metal coatings, which are also based on different chemistries, for example, non-acrylate chemistry or also polyolefins. So this is also working in that case, yes.
Thanks, Lara. Marcus, ready for another one?
Oh, yes.
Let's go for it. Up to which pH value can you use BYK 2018?
Yes. I mentioned it during the presentation that you can use this BYK, especially this BYK 2018, in silicate paints or in water-based epoxies. Water-based epoxies, grinding in the amine part, I think, is not a big topic. So here we are talking about pH values of 10, 11, something like that. So here you can use it without any trouble. Good long-term stability is given. In silicate paints, we are talking about much higher pH values, so sometimes up to 13. Here it depends a little bit on the used water glass, so on the silicate binder, as well as on the stabilizer. But in our standard formulations, we evaluated, we saw very good results, so very good viscosity reduction with this BYK 2018 in the grinding of titanium dioxide and the fillers, and a good long-term stability. But as mentioned, as you know, always, it depends a little bit on the formulation.
Thank you very much. Steffen, the second one to you. Can the defoamer also be used in the mill base?
Yeah, actually, I can give you a short answer to yes. Yes, it can be used in the mill base as far as we've seen it in our lab. Of course, you should always try it in your particular system, but we didn't see any issues here.
Perfect. Let me switch over to Lara again. What is special about this BYK 1789 product?
What is special about that? Yeah, I think there are lots of properties which makes it special. So as I said, firstly, it's really the nice balance between defoaming properties and good compatibility in the system. So usually we just have defoamers that are able to defoam, but then they show also incompatibilities. For example, they cause cratering, or they are not sufficient enough, and for that reason they do not defoam properly. So BYK 7089 really has this quite good balance between, and it's also shear stable. That's why we developed it for airless application. So it can be also used as a grinding defoamer, which therefore is another applicability for this defoamer. And what we also observed, and what I maybe didn't mention during the presentation, is the improved substrate wetting. So it also has a positive impact on the substrate wetting. So all in all, I think lots of benefits in one product.
That's special about it. Perfectly. Markus, another one for you. What about the handling of Disper books, especially at lower temperatures?
Okay, the handling, yeah, I think this goes in the direction in the production, when you use it really in the production, and especially some highly polymeric dispersants then shows very high viscosities, especially at low temperatures. So with this book 2018, 2019, we have really relatively low viscous product, and even at lower temperatures, it is pumpable, so easy handling in the production, no high viscosities that you get trouble with a pumpable wetting and dispersing additive. I would say, in general, easy handling even at lower temperatures.
Great, thank you very much. Steffen, that's the one for you, I guess. The dosage of BYK 092 is between 0.3 and 0.5% in the presentation. Is this the recommended dosage?
Yeah, I think the recommended dosage of a defoamer is so system dependent that it can't be that narrow. So usually we give a recommendation between 0.05% and 0.8% of the defoamer, but sometimes it goes even up to higher than 1%. So it's really always recommended to do a ladder study in your particular system and also using your particular incorporation conditions.
All right, let's say one more per person. That would be the last one to you, Lara.
Okay.
Why does BYK 1789 not show any negative impact on adhesion, although it is a silicone defoamer?
Okay, yes. So I think we really have to differentiate. Firstly, when we do not use any defoamer at all, so we will incorporate for that reason a lot of air, and especially in the airless application, we normally have to avoid the microfoam inside. And if you have all these air bubbles inside, you will also have the air bubbles at the interface of the substrate and the coating. And therefore, this will be the area of no adhesion. So for that reason, also without any defoamer, you will have issues with the adhesion. But if you use a silicon-based defoamer, this not always means that it really lowers the intercoat adhesion, because this is also related to the design of the polymer. For example, what kind of molecular weight is used, what are the side chains, and so on. So this really plays an important role. And we have to say that also silicon-based products may improve the wetting. And for that reason, the adhesion can be, or it's possible that you don't impact the adhesion, and that was in the major focus in the development of BYK 1789. Yes.
Thank you very much. The last one's for you two.
Okay.
Firstly, to Markus. Which pigments were tested in automotive coatings?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm not the expert for automotive coatings, but luckily during the preparation of the presentation, I discussed this really deep dive with my colleagues of the automotive department. So they tested especially titanium dioxide, iron oxides, and also bismuth vanadate. So in general, inorganic pigments. And I saw the results, and with all these inorganic pigments, they always achieved very low viscosities, much lower versus a market standard, and a very good long-term stability of these slurries. So in general, for automotive coatings, I would say for all kind of inorganic pigments, Disper BYK 2018, 2019 are excellent additives.
Thank you very much. Steffen, the last question for today, for you at least. For future-oriented formulations, it is very important that the raw materials do not contain any biocide. Does BYK 092 contain biocide?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think this question probably comes from the architectural paints, because their biocide-free really is a bigger issue than, for example, for the wood coatings industry. And I forgot to mention that because of my background for the wood coating. So yes, it is biocide-free, and you can use it for all modern formulations because we designed it to be tailored to modern formulations, right?
Thank you very much. Steffen, Markus, Lara, I would ask for a round of applause, but there's nobody here. So maybe everyone can knock on the,
We
on
will
the tables back
applaud
home.
for ourselves.
Yeah, thank you very much. You are dismissed.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for,
you.
for that wonderful second session. I've said it before, there were so many questions also this time. No question remains unanswered. There is a whole team just there for you, and they will answer your questions ASAP. But please keep on filling those Q&A questions. We're going to take it right here on stage. And what's next? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what's about to happen right now. All I got in this briefing is that it promises to get to know BYK from a different side, and that someone with over 25 years of experience in this company is going to help you with it. He obviously works in the business line paint. His name is Heiko Juckel, and I'm very, very curious about what's going to happen now. It's up to you.
Thank you, Mark. Message in a bottle. We met the first time 35 years ago. She was really good looking, and I felt directly in love. First, I was surprised about her size and the shape, but believe me or not, at that moment, only the inner values counted for me, the inner values. What fascinated me from the beginning, I ask and she comes. Without a question, without a why me. She is just there. I really appreciate her and her support. She has never disappointed me, and she has never changed till today. And these days, we celebrate together her 50 years anniversary. 50 years. You are probably wondering what I'm talking about, and you are right. But this is exactly the story I like to share with you. It's in the year 1990. I am a young lab chemist in a paint company. Actually, I'm working on a paint development project. I have several problems to solve, and I'm not really satisfied with the performance of my coating yet. Of course, I have tried many different kind of things. I have asked also my experienced colleagues, but somehow I'm lost. Nothing helps. At this moment, I remember my first steps in the coating industry just a few years before. Even then, I'm a little shy chemist just coming from the university. Absolutely no idea about paints and coatings, but brave enough to dial the following telephone number. Germany 281-6700. Germany 281-6700. It rings 3 times, and then somebody reply. Hello? Hello. Here's BYK. How can I help you? I described my paint challenges and got some hints and information from a BYK paint and additive expert. Wow, that's easy, I thought, and helpful as well. And only 2 days later, she is lying in front of my door. Exactly. I'm talking about this little bottle here. I'm talking about the 60 milliliter product sample bottle of BYK. 9 centimeter high, 4 centimeter wide. And since that time, I call them the little helpers of BYK. The little helpers of BYK. Today, these little helpers are at home in more than 150 countries of the world, become a natural part in each paint lab to support you. Yeah, you, with your daily task and with your daily challenges. Sometimes you get the sample directly here from our headquarters in Germany in a few days, and sometimes just in a few hours from our distributor in your country. It's a perfect service, isn't it? It's a perfect service. Interesting is, despite the size of our company, we still do this service by ourselves. Yeah, no outsourcing. And as you know, behind every good running process, you need motivated people, you need colleagues who are living the task. Like this team here. This is our sample department team. This is the team who takes care of getting all the samples to you. Angelika, Barbara, Christian, Holger, Kevin, Tim, and the leader of the department, Ludger. Yeah, that's the team who are ordering the products and then filling all the small bottles, labeling all the small bottles, storage all the small bottles, packaging all the small bottles, and then send all the small bottles all over the world. Sometimes only one, and sometimes a few more. And when I met Ludger, the team leader, the last time, he mentioned to me, Heiko, he said, Heiko, we have more than 30,000 of these little bottles in our sample warehouse stock ready to send out. And sometimes we send out more than 1,000 per day to your customers, he said, to everybody who needs our book support. For sure, a very special department, important colleagues, and a big service which we do not want to be taken out of our hands. What you may not have known is, this is our sample bottle. I mean, of course, it's our sample bottle. No, I mean, it's our sample bottle. It's our book design. It's our tool to produce the bottle. And the bottle is especially produced for book only. It's unique. It's a unique bottle and has the same design for more than 50 years. And you recognize maybe as well, the bottle is square, right? Why is a bottle square? Is it a mistake? No, I will tell you. The bottle is square, so you can place it side by side on your shelf in your laboratory with a product label in front, so you can easily see and read what are the inner values of each bottle. The inner values. Invented by smart book people already 50 years ago. And since the bottle is square, the bottle has 4 sides, and each side stands for a real book statement, stands for a real book value. The first side stands for innovation. We understand innovation as a steady improvement process, an ongoing process, a never-ending story. Steady improvement in production technologies, product technologies, but also administration, digitalization of our processes. Innovation is an important investment for us and for you as our customers. It's an investment for our common future. And more than 300 book chemists take care that you continue to receive the right and innovative products for your daily work and also for tomorrow. Innovation. The second side stands for quality. Important for us is that you can rely on us, that you can trust our quality, because we want to make sure that also your products are of a consistent quality as well, of course. But we know quality and trust. Even we are living more and more in a digital world, but quality and trust, these are essential values in the cooperation between people, between you and me, between your lab people and our lab people, between your entire company and our company book. Quality and trust are important values for cooperation. The third side and the third value stands for regulatory. More than ever, it's important in the development of new products to take care about resources and environment, of course. I mean, 35 years ago, we talked about the technical data sheet. the safety data sheet, and maybe here and there a special requirement. Today? Today, it's a long, long list of regulatory questions and hurdles. Almost each country has its own requirements, its own REACH process, which we have to fulfill with our products, and we take it serious. We take it serious. Our regulatory colleagues, together with our R&D teams and our paint technical service labs, want to ensure that you can work with our products wherever you are worldwide. Regulatory. And the last side, the fourth side, stands for the value service. I would like to focus here especially on the paint technical service labs and their supports. We do more than 3,000 investigations in our worldwide labs per year. Simple batch testing, complex product developments, investigations to support you as our customers, for instance with product screenings, or try to solve technical challenges together in a common project. And we do it uncomplicated, easy, and with trust. I especially enjoyed this service 35 years ago, and there are 3 good reasons for it. First, I learned a lot in the cooperation with BYK about coatings and paints. Second, I could solve several of my paint problems in the lab. And third, don't forget it, also very important, I could impress my manager with my good lab results. Innovation, quality, regulatory, and service. If you would ask me, what is BYK? I will answer here, this little sample bottle. This little sample bottle describes everything that defines BYK. The design stands for value for more than 50 years. And the label? The label stands for our products, but also for our people, for our promises, for our heart. Now you may understand why I fell directly in love with this little sample bottle here. I have been inspired by BYK already 35 years ago. So what about you? How have you been inspired by BYK? Do me a favor. Use the chat. Send me a few words. I would really appreciate your comments and how you have been inspired by BYK. And one last point. If you are going back to your laboratories, go to the shelf. Take one of our product sample bottle, look at it like I do it, and hold it in your hand. And now you may realize, after my stories and all the other stories you have heard today, yes, it's much more than just a product, because each sample bottle comes with a complete BYK message to you. It's a message in a bottle.
Wow, now I get it. Message in a bottle. Okay, that was easy. He didn't tell us anything about it beforehand, but Heiko, you just vanished. Please come back and let me show you some respect for this wonderful story. It's actually you're welcome. It's actually how I got to know BYK. It's people with heart, passion, commitment, strong focus on its customers. It was really nice.
It was my pleasure to present it, because BYK is much more than just a product, for sure.
It is. Thank you very much, Heiko.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Message in a bottle. Gonna remember that. A friendly reminder, all of you might know it, but tomorrow there's the expert talks going on. You can be a part of it. Just scroll down on this webpage and book your slot. BYK's leading industry experts are there for you, are there for your questions. Don't miss the chance. And also, I want to quote Heiko, use the chat, use the Q&A function, go on with it. You're flooding it already, and we really appreciate it. There are so many questions. We have a team in the back office locked in. They do nothing else but answer your questions as soon as possible. Some of the questions will be randomly chosen and taken directly to the stage and asked to the presenters right after their presentation. For now, the time has come to freshen up a little bit again. Please refill your cups, stay hydrated, and open the windows for a while. And we'll be back in about 5 minutes. See you later. Welcome back, everyone, to our third and last session for today at the BYK Live Event 2022. We're here at Altana headquarters in Germany, streaming live out to so many countries all over the world, to South America, North America, Africa, Europe, Asia. Wherever you are, especially the people late at night, thank you very much for staying awake with us and for all these great people here sharing their expertise with you and with us. We hope you enjoyed so far as much as we do. I forgot it a little before, we also have a poll function. So after every lecture, we would like to know what you think about the lectures themselves. There's a 5-star ranking, of course. 5 stars for very, very good, and 1 to 4 you can neglect easily. BYK is renowned for fluid additive products, but they're also pretty awesome at powder, cementitious products, marine protective, and also solid additives, paint that is supplied as powder without any solvent or water. So pay attention to the trailer voice. So there is something beyond liquids. What exactly and why they're so simple to use will now be presented to you by Kevin Spitka, who is Technical Service Marine and Protective Coatings, Judith Ewald, Head of Technical Service Powder Coatings, and Markus Möller, Head of Global End Use Construction. The next session is called Break Free from Constraints of Liquid and Go Further with Hidden Champions Organoclades, solid additives and solid application powder coatings, and wetting and dispersing additives for high alkaline building materials. Welcome on stage, Kevin, and enjoy the show and the presentation.
Thanks, Mark. Once upon a time, there was a time when coatings could be either beautiful or functional. Both together was simply a fairy tale. And then, over 60 years ago, BYK made it possible. The first additives for coatings made by BYK. And with the help of BYK additives, attractive coatings could be made more durable, and durable coatings could be made more attractive. And since then, BYK additives help to defoam coatings, to stabilize pigments, to improve flow and gloss. Since then, BYK is leading in liquid additives. But we have never rested on the resounding success of these liquid products for liquid coatings. As you heard today, paints have changed in the last years due to different regulations which were updated, new binders were synthesized, new formulations were developed, and this resulted in high solid, solvent-free, powder and water-based coatings. And our innovations were not only related to liquid additives, not only liquid additives for conventional coatings, we are also innovative in solid additives. We made a virtue of necessity. You really can say that we have created a whole new world of additives, a world beyond liquids, a world where you can discover different things with different continents. Would you like to join us on a journey? There's one adventure or another. Are you interested in finding out what this world looks like? Get inspired into our world beyond liquids. Great pictures, right? This world is not just different. It is a great help for us and for the whole coatings industry. Because with solid products, we can protect our real world, the Earth, in a more sustainable way. Low waste, low VOC, CO2 neutrality, that are just a few of the buzzwords that are close to our hearts and our daily business. Let's now move on to the first details, to the first continent of our world beyond liquids. Organoclades as hidden champions among rheological additives. Rheological additives are a vital factor for quality for the whole lifetime of a coating. And I would like to give you more insight about this technique, these organoclades, hidden champions for BYK. It is only natural that people like to use liquid products in liquid coatings. But especially with rheological additives, it's worth taking a look at the world beyond liquids. Organoclays in particular have unique properties that I would like to present here in more detail. For BYK and for me, they are really a hidden champion. It is not without reason that BYK spent more than 70 million euro in a production site in Gonzales in Texas. This production site manufactures exclusively organoclays. Why we did this immense investation? We see a huge demand for these products now and also in future. Why do we see this need? Let's look at some comparisons to other rheological additives, to other technologies on the next slide, why we did this step. At first, I would like to compare a bisamate paste with an organoclay. You can see on the picture on the right side an organoclay powder, on the left side this crumbly bisamate paste. These bisamate pastes are usually 10 to 20% pre-activated paste in different volatile solvents. Organoclays, they're 100% solid powders, which means that no additional solvent is added when using them. Where can you still allow to add 80 to 90% of a solvent in your coating? And if you want to add larger amounts, you unavoidably add a lot of solvent in your coating. And all this material have to be stored beforehand. And this bisamate paste includes a lot of solvent, which means that the whole material is a dangerous good, which may be complicated to store in your warehouse. With organoclays, it's very easy because there are no dangerous goods. Organoclays are problem-free like a pigment or filler, a non-hazardous powder, easy to store. That's just the first comparison I would like to show. I would like to give you another one. Sure, there are other possibilities. There are other rheological additives which are solid, for example, fumed silica. And here again the picture, a direct comparison between organoclay and fumed silica. Silica has one incredible problem because it has an incredibly low density. On the picture you see 10 grams of fumed silica compared to 10 grams of organoclay, and you see it's a huge difference. Is it a problem? With today's transportation costs, everybody reacts more sensitive on this topic. You can well imagine the difference in transportation costs if you transport 1 ton of fumed silica or 1 ton of organoclay. Not to mention the problem you may discover during incorporation of such a low density powder in your production. And there are also differences between organoclays. I would like to mention here Claytone MPZ especially. This product is produced in Gonzales and was developed 2 years ago. Claytone MPZ stands for maximum performance. And here I would like to give you a comparison between Claytone MPZ, the special maximum performance clay, and a standard conventional clay available in the market. Claytone MPZ is interesting because due to a special processing, we get nice benefits. No one wants to activate organoclays miserably long during paint production. And here, on this picture, you see a 2-pack polyurethane top coat formulation. And the organoclay has been dispersed together with the pigments and fillers at 15 minutes for 10 meter per second. As you can see on the left part of the picture, the competition product, you can see that the clay is not fully activated. So it was not enough shear force for fully activation, and this will lead to severe stippling. But on the right side, the short incorporation time was sufficient enough for the complete activation of Claytone MPZ. So the ease of incorporation here leads to better optical appearance. Now we've talked a lot about site conditions, but what you really want to know is the actual performance when using a logical additive. So I would like to give here a comparison between a standard product and Claytone MPZ in a high solid marine protective coatings based on epoxy. Dosage is about 1.5% of organoclay calculated on component A. And you can see on the picture a drawdown by ZEC by application. So we would like to differentiate here different ZEC resistance results. At the same dosage, same incorporation time, Clayton MPZ shows about 500 microns of wet film thickness. 500 microns wet film thickness compared to only 250 microns of wet film thickness. So really a maximum performance organoclay which boosts ZEC resistance. The next thought is often, okay, the ZEC resistance is twice as high, so probably the viscosity is also much higher, and it's impossible to be applied via airless gun. Therefore, I would like to give here some viscosity numbers measured by Anton par viscosimeter. On the left side, you see the viscosity, the mixture of component A and B, one time at very low shear rate, only 0.1 reciproc seconds, and at high shear rate, 1000 reciproc seconds. The samples are the same samples as on the slide before, where the difference was with higher ZEC resistance. And you can see that on the low shear viscosity, 0.1 reciproc seconds, there's approximately 3 times higher viscosity by using Clayton MPZ. But the interesting part is that the high shear viscosity, the viscosity 1000 reciproc seconds, so the shear range which is important for the airless application, is almost similar. So you can see on the right part of the picture the whole flow curve. There's a nice shear thinning effect by the use of the right product, by the use of Clayton MPZ. If we now take everything together and look at this continent of organoclays with some distance, then it's an important part of the world beyond liquids. With these hidden champions, we have safe products which are easy to use, easy to transport, and very pleasing to work with. And all this together with a really excellent performance. That's what I like about organoclays. So much as an insight for hidden champions organoclays. Since we haven't traveled that much in the last 2 years, Judith Ewald will take us on her personal journey into her world beyond liquids. So, Judith.
Thank you, Kevin. Kevin showed us the world of solid additives in a liquid application. I invite you to take one step further in this world beyond liquid. Solid additives in a solid application. My personal journey in this world beyond liquid started over 10 years ago, right at the start of my professional career. As apprentice at a resin manufacturer, I learned to synthesize polyesters. I was challenged and fascinated at the same time. It is an art to create a transparent, functional solid. Certainly proud on this creation, it was still a chemical to me. Just when I stepped into the colorful world of paint, that changed. Using my polyester, my chemical in a paint application, it became so much more. It was that moment that I realized coatings were all around me. Powder coating on the fence of my parents' garden, powder coating on the shelf in the supermarket, powder coating on the railing of the stairs, as well in my professional life, powder coating on the bike I ride to work, powder coating in front of my workplace, powder coating on the window frames of my office. Powder coatings were all around me. So enchanted from this colorful world of paint, I continued my journey at university. I just wanted to explore more. But powder coatings always stayed in the back of my mind. Learning more about various application fields in coating systems, I realized powder coatings are special. Solid delivery form, heavy manufacturing process, highly durable systems. But there's one aspect that catches my personal interest. Powder coatings are sustainable. Facing the climate change, powder coatings can be one step to more sustainability in the paint industry. In this technology, we don't have any solvents, there's no VOCs, there's no biocides needed. 98% of the material can be used. The overspray can be recycled. We have a quick processing without the drying steps, and we have a high film build in just one spray. We create highly durable systems to protect what is valuable to us. Today at BYK, I support this sustainable application field with my everyday work. Let me inspire you on a journey into our BYK laboratory. You will get a glimpse at the evolution of a single powder coating, multiple steps of precise processing, a variety of chemicals with all different shapes and sizes, working in harmony together to create a protective shield. It starts with the meeting of coarse resin, heavy fillers, colorful dusty pigment, and powdery additives, creating a color swirl out of white and blue After mixing, they appear homogeneous to the eye. But after mixing, they appear homogeneous to the eye. But microscopic, they are still apart. Just mixing and melting in the extruder allows the ingredients to work with each other. After milling and sieving, finally, we achieve the finished powder coating, ready for application. The electrostatic spray pulls the powder particles from the spray gun to the workpiece and makes them stick. The rough coat is melted in the oven, creating a protective shield. Now, please follow me into our BYK laboratory. Supporting you in this technology means that we understand each step in the process by heart. As you witnessed in the video, we perform the whole manufacturing chain, from weighing in the ingredients to judging the cured panel and all significant steps in between. BYK products are based and designed on this knowledge. We support you with the whole selection of additives. Smooth surfaces with leveling additives, a high throughput with processing additives, anti-crater synergists and degassing aids for sensitive systems, protecting the surface with slip and scratch resistance, increasing durability with adhesion and edge coverage, and even allowing to apply on porous substrates without gassing additives. But now we take this support even one step further. For me, one of the biggest challenges in powder coating is that everything needs to be perfectly balanced right from the start. There's no adjustments possible in the finished powder coating. No tinting, no gloss correction. Everything needs to be perfectly balanced right from the start. The ingredients, the ratios, the processing parameters. But apart from all knowledge and all technology, I'm just human, and my results are not always as desired. Here, BYK 3938P comes into play. BYK 3938P is designed for post-addition into the finished powder coating. It is easily incorporated by mixing instead of extrusion and can be applied right after the incorporation. The matting effect of this additive is visible on the cured panel. There is no need to perform the whole manufacturing chain again to achieve my target gloss level. Post-adding the additive, incorporation by shaking, apply, ready. This saves time, energy, and waste. But let's have a closer look. BYK 3938P reduces the gloss depending on the dosage in a stable and predictable way. Here on the picture, you see the original system, starting with a gloss of 98 units at a 60 angle. On the picture, you see the reflection of a light bulb showcasing the gloss to the eye. Low dosages of BYK 3938P are used for a gloss reduction, dropping the gloss by just a few units. So if I have produced a powder coating a little too high in gloss, I can use the additive to bring the material back into specification. I can save this material. On the other hand, higher dosages of BYK 3938P provide me a real matting effect, dropping my gloss by 50 units or even more. This can be used if I have a demand of a customer just having glossy system in stock. I use the additive, combine it, and can fulfill the demand. There is no need to wait for a new production lot to satisfy the customer request. Or I can even do a quick adjustment right at the line. You select your grade of matting, highly individually depending on your need and your demand. BYK 3938P is suitable in all resin systems, providing a universal usage. The universal usage also extends for all colors without interfering with the shade. A full shade black HAA system is matted as well as a purple hybrid system. A blue system with an effect pigment can be matted without losing the visibility of the pigment. Matting and sparkle effect are possible at the same time. BYK 3938P is even suitable in transparent systems. In a clear coat, BYK 3938P provides the matting without the loss of transparency. Here on the picture, you see a clear coat applied on a glass panel, and then the glass panel is placed over a contrast card. The white and black squares of the contrast card are distinct visible through the clear coat, showcasing the high transparency. Adding BYK 3938P, we don't lose this transparency. The white and black squares are still distinct visible while we have dropped the gloss. Even higher dosages of 3938P provide a high transparency, but reducing the gloss level. You select the grade of matting highly individually depending on your need and your demand. BYK 3938P is even suitable in challenging systems. In my experience, especially HAA systems are challenging to produce with the gloss that you desire. Even using the extrusion process, it's often not possible to reach the low gloss level that you're looking for. For example, in this HAA system with a gloss of 97, typically you would use a high dosage of wax to reduce the gloss. So you could use polypropylene or polyethylene. But you will just drop the gloss by a few units, having a gloss reduction but not a real matting effect. Another typical approach is to increase the filler loading in your formulation, dropping the gloss by 20 or 25 units. But you will also have an increased waviness on your surface. So your impression is a semi-matte finish, but with the increased waviness. This does not satisfy my design. With BYK 3938P, I am able to reduce the gloss from the 97 units down to just 27 units, providing a real matting effect and satisfy my design, even in the challenging system with a high efficiency. You select your grade of matting highly individually, depending on your need and your demand. I invite you to take one step further with BYK 3938P. Refuse the labeling, reduce your energy consumption in production, reuse a glossy system as matte design, recycle your out-of-specification material. Get inspired on this journey beyond. Now, let's move to the next continent on this journey with Marcus.
Thank you, Judith, for this very interesting presentation and to lead into the next topic and to the next journey of interesting additives beyond liquids. Ladies and gentlemen, dear valued business partner, firstly, I would like to welcome you. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Historically, BYK's product portfolio has been mainly coatings driven in the past. But looking to today's presentations and the recent activities, we offer solutions and additives beyond those applications, including additives for construction applications as well. We also consider the latest regulations and trends, and most important is the voice of our customers, your voice. While I'm standing here, you may have asked what I do have brought with me, and I would like to ask Mark to hand over a couple of items I took all the long way from Munich to Wesel. On the left-hand side, I have a few minerals, and on the right-hand side, a powder. And you may ask me, where is the link between both? Let me explain. When you look to those nice minerals, I'm pretty sure, even with no expertise in mineralogy, you may identify a few properties. This could be the gloss, the weight, the hardness, or the morphology. While with the powders, it looks like a powder. But without having a look to the TDS or to ask the inventor or test the product or even have a look on the label, you may not understand the secret behind this powder. It could be a binder, it could be an additive, it could be a filler. Mark, thank you. So, when I used to study mineralogy many years ago, working with additives, with solid binders, has been always a passion at that time. But I never thought about working for an additive specialty manufacturer and also talking about regulatory topics which have to be considered into our product development at that time. So regulatory topics, that played a minor role. Luckily, time and requirements have changed. So together with the other fantastic presentations my colleagues presented today, you could experience already a taste of how we as BYK have been developing our expertise beyond the development of liquid defoamers and additives towards powder additives, both for liquid and for powder coatings. So let's continue our journey beyond liquids with innovative, solid wetting and dispersing additives. Colleagues of mine, and you know this as well, they have this expression, each construction is as good as its foundation. And that is true. But I would prefer to say each solid additives formulation is as good as its solid additives package. So in order to take a step further on our journey towards a world beyond liquids, I invite you to have a look at current trends and challenges in terms of regulatory aspects and related new binder systems, and how we can, as BYK, support with new additives in the development of building material formulations and final products being fit for the future. I just want to name a few trends, or I wouldn't say trends, but challenges. One is well-known carbon dioxide reduction. We are also talking about new binder technologies, supplementary cementitious materials, or we have to full latest regulatory topics, and that includes also the biocide regulations, for instance. Let's start with the carbon dioxide reduction. You know that cement is the binder being used in dry mix construction formulations. But do you know that 8% of the carbon dioxide emission comes from the cement production? So it's mandatory that all the suppliers, manufacturers of cementitious binders, as well as you, for product development, have to look for alternatives. That could be supplementarious materials, fine particle size, recycled materials, and so on. And those changes have a tremendous impact and influence on the new additives, solid additives to be developed to overcome all those challenges. Let's also talk about biocide regulations. There are different ways to overcome the latest regulations. You can look for alternative biocides if they work, or you may increase the solid content, or the opportunity is to develop systems with higher alkalinity. Markus Vogel mentioned this in his presentation, silicate paints, for instance, or in our case, silica pasty products, construction products. Or the other way around is to develop more solid products, and those solid products require solid additives. There are some benefits. You have to ship less water across the ocean, the handling is easy, no biocides are required. So there are lots of benefits we have to consider and requirements to overcome those challenges. But it's not about all regulatory topics, it's also about technical criteria and requirements. And there are a lot of questions how to deal with those requirements. So let us talk about the desired technical criteria first and how we as BYK want to differentiate from the market standards. So when we had to look to our latest innovative additives developed for the construction additives portfolio, we decided to consider very important criteria. So one is the texture. So whenever you use alternative binder systems, which may require new wetting dispersing additives, you do not want to negatively influence the texture, the consistency. You want to improve the wetting properties, but negatively not lose or plastify even the formulation. So don't mix this up with a plasticizer, for instance. We do not want to plastify, we just want to enhance the setting without influencing negatively the texture, and meaning the particle-to-particle interaction. Another important topic is rheology. Rheology plays a minor role in construction additives. So we differentiate here between sag-controlled formulations and flowable formulations. And in both cases, we do not want negatively contribute with our additives to the rheology performance. We have seen market standards where you lose rheology, you lose suspension control in flowable systems and anti-sag in sag-controlled formulations. So important for the next stage of developed product is to overcome and improve those criteria. Another topic is robustness, meaning that you want to achieve good performance, efficient products over the entire application window, from the very first beginning up to the end of the entire application window. And we have seen that some of products, they negatively contribute, and either you have at the beginning or at the end performance, but not over the entire application window. Also compatibility with other additives, with plasticizers, with defoamers, with rheology modifiers have to be considered. So we want to stand for robustness with our products. Last but not least, performance balance. So how can we achieve good synergies with other additives? How can we improve, minimize side effects with the other additives? And that is what we have on our agenda. Looking to the watch, well, I talked a lot now, and it's now, I would say, showtime. And my team and I have decided, instead of showing very complex slides, to give some examples and to show some benefits of our additives in different applications. The first application is a base coat. A base coat applied in thick layers. And what we did is here, we compared the mixing behavior between a standard and our Disperbyk 2290 as a wetting dispersing additive. So you see already the difference in the consistency, and more important, how does the wetting dispersing additive influence the rheology performance? And you remember what I said at the beginning, we do not want to negatively contribute. We do not want to lose suspension control and anti-sag control. And what you see in this video is exactly, you can improve the wetting, which is nice. You can plasticize, but you lose the control in anti-sag properties. And that is exactly what we do not want. With Disperbyk 2290, here clearly the difference. It's fantastic to see how we can improve or not negatively contribute to the anti-sag properties. So let's say we can improve the consistency and maintain the rheology and less shear thickening properties. The next example is a flowable formulation. It's a pre-mortar. We call it self-compacting concrete with a high density, good flow behavior, and low air content below 2%. And what you see is here the initial wetting properties achieved with Disperbyk, why it takes somehow longer with the standard wetting dispersing additive. Even when you add the fillers, you see how the consistency can change towards better mixing properties, workability properties. This is the one positive. On the other side, what happens with the flow properties? Here you see some air coming out much faster compared to the control, and this is based on the different rheology. It's not additional entrapped air. This is important to understand. The next test is the so-called test how the impact of a ceramic ball influences the rheology. Here is a control. You see the dilatant behavior, while with Disperbyk you can achieve a much better pseudo-plastic flow behavior without losing suspension control. So you can keep the liquid stable, but it is not dilatant compared to cornstarch, or you walk at the beach borderline, when you stamp on the sand it becomes hard. This is not the case. So you can imagine that with Disperbyk 2190 you can also improve pumpability in flowable formulations. All in all, we improve the texture and the rheology of flowable and sag-controlled formulation. But what's about the cement hydration? And you remember, there is a way, moving away from cementitious materials to ordinary Portland cements towards alternative binder systems. That could be recycled minerals, fine materials, and so on, with a large surface area, but sometimes they are not that fast in the cement hydration. So what you do not need and want to have is a wetting dispersing additive, which negatively contributes to the cement hydration. So what we did is we test the wet sample in a so-called ultrasonic test equipment, where we transmitted an ultrasonic wave through the sample, and then we checked the speed of the ultrasonic wave, which is an indicator of the setting. And what you can see here clearly is if you compare the control with our Disperbyk 2291, there is no negative contribution. The setting behavior is almost the same, but with the standard, market standard, there is a negatively contribution and also a retardation. So there are clearly benefits with the latest innovative additives here. Well, we are talking about wetting and dispersing additives, and you may ask, yeah, what's about wetting and dispersing? Can you show me? This is a test where we combined our different additives in a combination of microsilica and fly ash. And here you see how you can improve and fasten the wetting of those finer particle-sized materials. And I'm sure for the future developments, moving towards alternative binder systems, this is very important to achieve with the right Disperbyk additives we have recently developed. So all in all, improved wetting even in flowable systems can be arranged. So looking to all the presentations today, the first and the second session and the last one, we can clearly say yes, for all those challenges and requirements and the voice from you, we have tailor-made answers. And particularly for our wetting dispersing additives, that means that we can improve the mixing performance and fasten the mixing. We can maintain or even improve the rheology properties, achieve long-lasting flow properties and robustness in all those formulations, even with other additives in combination. And last but not least, and very important, there's no impact on the setting behavior at all. Clear message for everyone who has to change the binder systems in the future. So looking back to the development of BYK's additives portfolio over the past decades, we can certainly see how we have developed our solid additives over many years. Started with 2, and then we moved over to more than 70 products now. And this chart is not the end. So we continue with new developments, and we have already heard a lot today. I just want to name a few of the products already discussed. Judith mentioned BYK 3938. Kevin was talking about the Garamide 1958. I was talking about the Dispa-BYKs 229091 and so on. And there are many other products we have developed for solid applications or solid additives, even for liquid applications. So this is not a trip, this presentation. This is a journey. So I would like to take this opportunity to encourage you to contact the entire BYK team for further discussions and technical exchange. So at the end, looking back to our achievements and future developments, I can say definitely, yes, we can do beyond liquids. And Mark, having said this, I would say and hope to get all our audiences inspired beyond the world of liquids. Thank you.
You have definitely, because you did your job pretty well. Thank you very, very much. And you guys back home or in your offices did also a great job by asking so many questions. I've been to the back office and I've received so many printed documents here. And I'm going to ask them each by each to all of you. And I would like to ask you guys back here on stage again. Many thanks to you for presenting everything over here on stage. I would like to start with you, Kevin, with the first question. What do I have to pay attention to when incorporating organoclays?
So the working mechanism of an organoclay is it develops a three-dimensional network, a so-called house of cards. But when the clay is dry, then it's so in the direction that all the platelets are stacked. And it's important that all these clay platelets were properly dispersed, delaminated, and swelling. And yeah, there are two things to consider. One time is the polarity of the system. So when the polarity is very similar to the organoclay polarity, then it's very easy. But when the polarity is somewhat different, then it's important that you have efficient shear force dispersing so that the three-dimensional network can develop.
House of Cards already sounded good.
Yeah.
Judith, the next question to you. Can BYK 3938P also be processed through the extruder?
So actually, 3938P is just meant for post-addition. If you would process it through the extruder, you will lose some of the efficiency. So really add it to the finished powder coating, then you will get the whole effectiveness and the whole performance.
Thank you. Markus, how do the new solid alkaline stable wetting and dispersing additives influence the rheology properties of dry mix building material formulations?
Yeah, I think this is a very good and important question when we look to the new binder systems. And honestly, looking to our products, they exhibit extreme good pseudoplastic behavior rather than a dilatant behavior. So that will be resulting in improved workability properties together with our rheology modifiers and enhanced anti-sag properties. Compared to other conventional wetting dispersing additives or even plasticizers, water-reducing additives, we can maintain the rheology and even improve.
Thank you very much. Another question for Kevin, I guess. Do I always have to make a pre-gel, or can I add the clay along with the pigments and fillers?
So I know that, especially in the most parts in the coating here in Europe, I know that pre-gel is very, very common to use. And when it comes to very high glossy polyurethane top coats, I would also go for a pre-gel, because with pre-gels you can minimize the effect on gloss and you have a perfectly activated organoclay, which performs quite nice. But in most cases, when it comes to direct-to-metal coatings or primer, where gloss is not the most interesting part for you, then I would go for a grinding together with pigments and fillers, because if you have to grind anyhow, then there's no additional step, and that makes it really easy to use organoclays.
Thank you very much. Well, Judith, you won the lottery with the, I don't know, most questions of today. I'm just going to pick one. Is your laboratory located in Germany?
So actually our main lab is located in Germany, here at the headquarters in Wesel, but we also have colleagues in the US as well as in China who also have their own equipment and support the local demand there. So we work as a global team all together to support the customer.
Yes. Marcus, are the WDs compatible with your hydroclay-based rheology modifiers OptiBend and OptiGel and BYK solid defoamers?
Yeah, this is a very valid point and a big advantage of our wetting dispersing additives. They are extremely compatible with our rheology modifiers, and you may know this, the OptiBend, OptiGel grades, they are based on so-called hydroclays. And we know from feedbacks that other market standards and plasticizers, for instance, they are not that compatible with our rheology modifiers. So here we can clearly say, and we have seen this in the videos as well, yes, they are, and that is a big plus.
So we're ahead of time. Let's say one more each. Is that okay for you guys?
Perfect. Okay. That's good.
Kevin, is temperature activation necessary?
So temperature activation is important for most rheological additives like bisamates or castor oil derivatives. By using organoclays, so there's no temperature activation necessary. So independent from the temperature, you have possibilities to fully activate and get the full performance. But under special circumstances, for example, production sites somewhere in the world where you're producing your coating lower than 10 degrees Celsius, then it might help to switch to another product group, the so-called Garamite. Garamite 1958, for example, outperformed then the standard clays in this terms of low temperature activation. But in general, there's no need for temperature activation of an organoclay.
Thank you very much. So this one sounds nice, Judith. Panels with BYK 3938P appear lighter in color. Why is that if the additive does not interfere with the color shade?
Yes. So the additive itself does not have any color. It also does not yellow under heat in the oven or even after storage. So the additive itself does not bring any color to the panel. But because it's a matting effect, it appears lighter to the eye. So the color that's received by the eye appears lighter. This is because the light that's getting on the surface, it's reflected in the spattered way instead of a direct way. So the impression of the lightness is just to the eye and not the real color shade.
Thank you very much. Now the last question for today for you, Marcus. Conventional plasticizers show the tendency both to entrap some air and negatively contribute to the cement hydration. How do Disperbyk 2190, 2290, and 2291 influence such parameters?
Very good. Well, the focus during the product development was exactly on minimizing those negative side effects. This includes the entrapment of air. I wouldn't say not no, but less than compared to conventional additives. And that is also valid for the cement hydration. Very important to understand that with the Disperbyk grades, and we have seen this in the slide, we do not negatively at the typical amounts of 0.1, 0.2% of the loading level on total, we do not negatively contribute or impact the cement hydration.
Thank you very much, Marcus, Judith, Kevin. Thanks for being with us today. You're dismissed for now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
If you liked this presentation, please use the quick poll function and give this presentation a 5-star ranking. We would be all happy about that. To round everything up, I wouldn't want to miss talking to the head of business line to paint additives himself. He is Dr. Stefan Mössmer, and here is here to come on stage with me. Welcome.
Hello, Mark.
Stefan,
good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for being with us. What do you think of the event today?
I think it was another fascinating event today. So we have seen a lot of inspiring presentations and also presented by my team with great passion and great level of engagement. So I'm really, really proud of the team.
Yes, we all are. It was a really, really cool day with all of you guys. Before we wrap it up, you're here to give us a few more insights, right? It's very interesting to see that BYK is not only producing liquid additives. How come?
Solid products have a long history within BYK since we first entered the powder coatings market in the mid-90s. In this application, as Judith mentioned, leveling additives and micronized wax additives in powdered form have successfully been launched to the market and are still widely used ever since. Besides the mentioned powder coating additives, the organoclays presented by Kevin, novel solid wetting and dispersing additives shown by Marcus, our well-known Leponite brand. We do have with the so-called hydroclays an additional high-performing additive family for water-based formulations such as architectural coatings or for construction applications. These hydroclays are marketed under the trade names Optigel and Optibend. They are fully in line with our ambitious growth targets with both water-based additives and rheology modifiers, and do offer the further advantage of not containing any biocide. And we heard that also today. As you know, the regulation for biocide is getting stricter every day, and so that's a clear benefit. To cover the uprising demand with these products, we invest strongly in our site in Bavaria and will also explore other production processes to launch novel hydroclays to the market soon with even better properties than the standard ones. So yes, we will further follow the route of developing solid additives in the future.
We have heard and seen so many things today here at this live event, but there's way, way more that BYK has in store for its customers, right? Can you give us some examples?
I think the overarching topic is sustainable solutions. So we have identified additive solutions as very important strategic pillar for the years to come. First, since bio-based coatings are growing over proportionally in comparison to conventional coatings, the high demand for additives based on 100% renewable raw materials becomes substantial for our customers. The portfolio with bio-based additives is steadily built up, and more products will be added and developed. The latest additions have been the 100% fully bio-based wax additives, Seraflower 1001 and 1002, to improve matting in all kind of coatings. Second, we evaluate our additives in so-called product safety assessments to check their sustainability footprint in industrial usage, for example, automotive coatings, or in more consumer-related applications like the DIY market. This, of course, will trigger our product development process to come up with new sustainable additive solutions depending on the final application the additives are used in.
Stefan, as soon as this event is over, everyone returns back to their day-to-day business. As Dr. Stefan Mössmer, how does the day-to-day business look like in the upcoming months?
Of course, besides the current political situation in Europe, which might have an unprecedented impact on the economy overall, a lot of the recent discussions with our customers are predominantly about supply chain disruptions, rising costs, as well as product availabilities, preventing us from supplying our additives to our valued customers as they were used to it from BYK in the past. But irrespective of these current uncertainties, we focus on keeping close contact with our major accounts to identify their needs for the future and to help them with our technical expertise to set apart from their competitors. And I can tell you, tomorrow we are going to the Paint India show in Mumbai to really discuss on the spot with our customers their specific needs. So that means customer centricity and of course innovation. And here product innovation, service innovation, digital innovation, that remain as the most important pillars for profitable and sustainable growth in our company.
Sounds like a great time to come. Thank you very much for
Thank
being
you,
with us
Mark.
today, Stefan.
you.
And dear viewers back home and in your offices, let's rewind to the beginning when I said that this event promises to inspire you. Have we promised too much? I think I know the answer already. Of course, we haven't promised too much. It was a great day, wasn't it? With so many great people here on stage sharing their expertise with us, with you. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed listening to them spellbound. I hope you guys back home or in your offices enjoyed it as much as we did over here. Our office still holds. Tomorrow will be some expert talks with BYK's leading industry experts. If you would like to book a slot, just go beneath, scroll down on this webpage, and you can log into it and book your slot. If you have any further questions, anytime, feel free to contact BYK any way you like. You know your well-known contact partners in the technical department or in the sales department. They're really looking forward to getting in touch with you. And of course, we would like to know your feedback to this whole event. Also down there, there's so many features on this website. Also down there, if you scroll down, you can leave your feedback. We would be very happy to get to know this. And last but not least, a big thank you to everyone of this project committee who set everything up. Thanks to this technical department who made this wonderful event how it was. It was a great thing. It was great being here. Thanks a lot. And thank you especially for letting me come back for the second time to host it. To all of you out there, wherever you are, stay safe, stay healthy, all the best, and see you soon. Bye.
you.